things are bad? Everybody knows things are bad. It's a depression. Everybody's out of work or scared of losing their job. The dollar buys a nickel's worth. Banks are going bust. Shopkeepers keep a gun under the counter. Punks are running wild in the street. There's nobody anywhere who seems to know what to do, and there's no end to it. We know the air is unfit to breathe, and our food is unfit to eat. We sit watching our TVs while some local newscaster tells us that today we had 15 homicides and 63 violent crimes, as if that's the way it's supposed to be. We know things are bad, worse than bad. They're crazy. It's like everything everywhere is going crazy, so we don't go out anymore. We sit in the house, and slowly the world we're living in is getting smaller, and all we say is, please, at least leave us alone in our living rooms. Let me have my toaster and my TV and my steel-belted radios, and I won't say anything. Just leave us alone. Well, I'm not going to leave you alone. I want you to get mad. Chairs. I want you to get up right now and go to the window, open it, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. I want you to get up right now. Get up, go to your windows, open them, and stick your head out and yell, I'm as mad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore. Things have got to change.
How many stations does this go
You've got to get mad.
67. I know it goes to Louisville and Atlanta.
We're not going to take this anymore. Then we'll figure out what to do about the depression and the inflation and the oil prices. But first, get up out of your chairs, open the window, stick your head out and yell, and say, I'm as bad as hell, and I'm not going to take this anymore.
Hey, good evening, FOMOcon. Welcome in, folks and wonderful beings in chat. Welcome into the Retro Who's Hangouts. Yes, we're doing some kind of fun event. Oh, God. Literally, right off the bat, I get yeeted. Thank you, Fev, for that. Welcome on in, people in chat. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Happy 4th of July for those American folks. It literally sounds like a war zone outside my house. I'm not even joking. Am I mad as hell? I don't know. I'm pretty merry. I'm doing good. But ask me on Monday and I might give you a different answer, Phil. But yes, I want to welcome in everyone in chat. Welcome in Phil. Also welcome in Chrysolite as well. I think I got your name right there. Of course, we're planning in the raid from FOMOcon. This is really, really exciting. First time I'm actually doing kind of an event like this, so this is going to be interesting, and we are doing a panel on everything you could possibly want to know about retro computing. Yes, we are going to cover the ins and outs of everything regarding this hobby, should you be the kind of person that wants to actually do it themselves. So we're just waiting in for the previous event on FOMOcon to wrap up, and then they'll be raiding into us, and then we'll be cracking on with the panel. But yes, welcome in. Also, Icy Fevrier, also wonderful to see you, you sweet bean. Thank you for being wonderful. We are going to be live for the next 3 hours doing this kind of crazy stuff, and I have like some really cool stuff queued up. So I really hope everyone here like enjoys it. This is going to be completely new, kind of figuring off the top of my head. So if things are a little bit sketch, I do apologize, but I did try and do as much prep. This whole stream took 2 to 3 hours worth of preparation to try and make sure everything was going to be good. So fingers crossed we're all good. We're about 3-4 minutes out from people joining in from the previous streamer on FOMOcon. So, you know, I'm not shitting proverbial bricks, but there's a nice sort of pile of bricks outside the front of my house. We may need to dial back the artist info timer. Let's play it by ear. The artist info timer. What the fuck is that? Artist info timer. Oh, that thing. Yes. Yeah, I can dial that back a bit. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Yeah, let's go, because I need to do a thing. I forgot how to stream about. There's too many fucking tabs. Oh my god. Actions, commands, timers. Where are the timer tabs? Oh my god. Timer. Oh, there it is. There it is. Okay. All right. Let's go ahead and just let's go and put that up to 40. There we go. Put that up to 40. There we go. All right. That should hopefully clear it up a bit. I mean, I was still set every 5 minutes, so I thought it would be all right. Also, welcome in, Esoteric Eric. Hi there. We're going to be doing some fun things tonight with actual live vintage hardware and everything anyone could possibly want to know about fucking around with old hardware. Because, you know, believe it or not, in today's world, there is still a role for it. You might not believe it, but it exists. And it is a heckin' good vibe. Anyway, sorry, I got so derailed. I need to welcome everyone into chat. So, welcome in, Thordrake. Hello there. Always wonderful to see you, Thordrake. So, yes, I think I've already said welcome to you before, Phil, but also, of course, welcome in to you, Phil. I always appreciate you coming to chat. I do know that the time difference for the UK can be a pain, though I think it's actually in the morning for you, so this actually might be a bit of an easier stream for you. And also welcome to Azzy. Azzy is going to be doing most of the modding duties tonight, so I do offer him my hearty gratitude. He is a most wonderful husband. Okay, raid is coming in any moment now, so yes, folks, we will be having FOMOcon entering into the chat very, very shortly. Oh my gosh, I'm terrified. I'm full of COVID, but I'm firing at the barbecue. If the cocktail of medication kills off the symptoms due to the... Oh, fuck. I missed that. The cocktail... Long enough to make hot dogs. Are you... You're in the UK, you should be celebrating Independence Day, unless you're celebrating a different kind of Independence Day. Not to keep things political, but there is also an Independence Day of sorts in the UK. Also, thank you so much for the follow, Nocturnes. Also, I should also thank you as well, Crystallites as well, for the follow there, because I did notice that follow earlier. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, well, we'll be keeping an eye out for that raid. I think we've got everything queued up. As far as I know, I have tried to get everything ready and mostly cooperating for this stream. Oh, here we go. Welcome on in, FOMOcon. Thank you, Dark Shintella, for the raid there. Welcome, 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 everyone, for FOMOcon AC 2024. Thank you so much for coming to stream. Yeah, fucking FOMOcon. Yeah, we majorly hype here, guys. Yes, thank you so much for the raid, though. I mean, the raid was planned, but still, thank you anyways, because hell, it's hard burnt into my brain to thank people for that. Thank you everyone for the follows there. I'm gonna try and keep on top of that with the follows there. Thank you so much, Tech Dragon, for the raid and also for the follow, and thank you Julian B Man for the follow, and Caraboy and Nermzy Lazad at Dreadnought. Ooh, Dreadnought, that's a pretty good name. Connor Pets, thank you for the follow there. And also thank you Bruntley as well. Welcome on in, FOMOcon. So wonderful for you to come into my hangout tonight. Oh, suddenly noise. Yes, we're booted up and ready to go. Or at least I hope so. I mean, we are going to be involving some old technology in this panel, so things may go wrong, but you never know. Oh my goodness, I don't think my thing's keeping up with all the follows here. I think, oh, no, it has been. Okay, I think I've got everyone in. So I don't think it will pick up on chat. I hope not, or won't pick up on the audio. It does sound like a war zone outside because of July 4th. So happy 4th of July, everyone. It's been kind of nuts. My neighborhood goes insane for 4th of July. So everyone's setting off fireworks into the garden. Hopefully not setting my house on fire, because that would be rather inconvenient. Certainly for our stream here. And let me just catch up on chat here, because I'm like, oh my god. People! Suddenly people! Holy shit. But yes, rah rah rah, Dark Shintella has appeared. We appreciate Dark Shintella showing up in chat here. Welcome on in, everyone. You forgot to get fireworks. When you get fucked in the UK, in the UK, Phil, for like setting off fireworks at this time of year, I don't know. I don't know if the local authorities in the UK like people setting off fireworks for American Independence Day of all times. Like, they'll be like, oh my gosh, you're betraying us. What the heck? Also, thank you for the neat hoodie there. Yeah, it's I like colors that clash. I don't know. It's kind of like a vaporwavy vibe. That's it. Vibe. God, I'm getting my words mixed up here. Also, yes. Actually, the Husk creator there, my little friendly little neighborhood bot, has reminded me we are gonna be raffling off one commission by Ferrari, who is a wonderful artist. They're actually a Vancouver local to me, so I'm based down in Washington, though almost barely. I live about 20 minutes from the Canadian border, so I have half my foot in Canada as it is. But yes, Ferrari is a Vancouver local to me and a wonderfully talented artist, so we're going to be raffling off one of their commissions tonight, which should be awesome. Do you have examples to show off? Yes, I have got some examples. We'll be introducing Rari's art early on in the stream, and then we will be actually doing the raffle a little bit later on, so definitely stay tuned for all of that. Also, thank you Darion WW13 as well for the follow there. So I think we've got everyone more or less settled in here, so thank you everyone for coming in. I hope everyone has been having a wonderful, wonderful FOMOcon and a fantastic 4th of July for those people in the US that are celebrating. And also for anyone joining from Canada, I hope you had a wonderful Canada Day, because I know that also happened recently. Yeah. I'm into vintage tech. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I live in a garage that is nothing but vintage tech. Everything from like the 80s to the mid 2000s. That is my heckin' jam. This is... I wouldn't say I'd made it into a fetish, but, you know, if someone made such a thing into a fetish, this is what their place would look like. It wouldn't be, you know, yeah, I kind of go nuts for this stuff. Yeah. So, yeah, I live and breathe vintage technology, and that's kind of what this panel is going to be covering. I've been involved in vintage tech for longer than I could probably string sentences together, and I'm not even joking about that. I really aren't. So, anyways, while I'm yabbering here, let's go drive into it. Let's go straight into the panel and make the things happen. So let's go crack on with it. I'm hoping this is going to work properly. Everything's a bit jank here, so I do apologize if everything kind of blows up in one's face. I don't intend it to. I'm going to keep the music playing because we haven't got any game stuff. But yes, welcome to my panel for FOMOcon 2024. Everything you could want to know about retro computing. And yes, of course, this panel may contain trace amounts of Husk. Please contact your doctor if you have a non-Husk allergy before consuming. Everyone in chat does have a Husk allergy, because that would be very, very shit. Because like then you wouldn't be able to get all the like the soft, gentle hugs and things. Like the heck. But yeah. Anyways, so I know a lot of folks here are going to be fairly new. So let me just give you a little bit of an about me. So I'm obviously, as you can tell from my accent, I'm obviously someone from the UK. Though some people think that I'm from Australia, which is kind of curious, but no, I am actually from the UK. But I live out here in the beautiful Pacific Northwest. And I've lived here in the US now for about 3 years, and previous to that I spent about 3 years living in Canada, and I live about, like I said, 20 minutes south of the Canadian border, and I still actually work up in Canada as well, so that makes for some very complicated taxes. But hey, I'm not going to wreck your brains from that tonight. I will spare you the pain. Actually, let me just keep an eye on chat here, because we're just gonna try and not fall apart here. But yes, I'm currently married to Azzy Bites. He is my wonderful mod here in chat. He is such a heckin' sweet bean. Everyone, actually, Azzy streams here as well. So I'm actually going to give him a quick shout out, because it's only fair, because he's helping me out so much tonight. But Azzy streams here on Twitch as well. He's been streaming like Final Fantasy 14, but also Baldur's Gate 3. He is such a wonderfully sweet guy and streamer. Do check him out. Do drop him a follow, because dude, I mean, I'm married to dude. I mean, what do you expect? I mean, of course I'm gonna be freaking singing his high praises, but he's awesome. So yeah, go drop him a follow. Also, no worries, Cariboy, thank you so much. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. I know it's pretty late on, so I hope you have a good snooze. Yeah, we're totally cute husbands on stream. And also, I'm partnered to Icy February. We're in a sort of a bit of a polycule of sorts. Is that what the correct term is? Polycule? Yeah, sure. Let's go with that. So I see Icy February is also in chat as well. So also, much love to you, Fev. He is based up in Canada himself. So we're always, I'm always floating across the border to make sure both my boys are totally well taken care of. Yay! Polyglot with the hypes. Oh, it's 3 AM here, be riding a straight up wake up. Oh, goodness. Oh, gosh, we got a raider from Hunter as well. Welcome in, Hunter. Thank you so much for the stream. I've been hunted down for a raid. Holy shit. Hi, Hunter. Thank you so much for the follow. Oh, my God. Heck. Thank you, Hunter. I really appreciate you follow there. What tonight? You were up to doing VR chat. Doing anything interesting in VR chat? Were you checking out any fun game worlds, or were you just chilling and chatting there? But yes, welcome in Raiders. My name is Retro Husk. I go by the name of Kai. I'm a retro variety streamer who does things with actual physical hardware on stream. I actually do things with old computers and hope to God they don't break down live on stream, because that would be not fun. But it happens. And that's why we go down the hole of troubleshooting, because that's great too. But yes, thank you everyone so much for the follows here. I need to actually probably go and actually thank folks for the follows here. Thank you, MK the Toaster, One Medic Man, of course Hunter as well. Thank you for the raid and the follow there, and also Nathaniel the Otter and Furry Love 126. And also thank you, Tech Dragon, for the 100 bits. Thank you, thank you, thank you. From one retro enthusiast to another. We sure as hell love the retro stuff here. This is, I mean, this channel wouldn't be having the name retro in it for nothing after all. But yeah, thank you so much, Hunter, for the raid there. I really appreciate that, dude. That's very, very sweet of you. Just hanging out and chatting. Well, you know what? I love doing that on my Friday night, so I'm probably going to be doing that. Well, I was going to say tomorrow, but it's now gone past midnight here on the West Coast, so I'd say late as a night, and I'm going to be up till 3 AM. So, what is energy? What is energy? So, hello there, Creed. Oh, I love seeing you. Creed, you're awesome. I'm really, really happy to see you in chat. So, but yes, thank you everyone there for the follows. Also, thank you, Cornelius, for the follow. Anyways, anyway, to get back on here, I've been in the fandom now since 2006. I cannot believe it has actually been that long. What the actual fuck? That's actually been over half my life now that I've been involved in furry, but I haven't regretted a minute of it. It's been awesome. And I've been streaming here on Twitch since 2022. I kind of was a bit on and off for a little bit. But since about 2023, I do stream at least once a week. Every now and then I do try and do additional streams in the week, depending on how my schedule works, sort of here and there. And for old computers, yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I've been messing around with them since before they were old. And I'm not even joking here. So my first introduction to a computer was the 1989 Macintosh SE30. Which my dad bought new, and I started using that about in 1997, and I never stopped. I just didn't stop using that computer. I was playing all the games on it. I was just using it. I used to take it with me. I had like a little carry bag and everything, and ever since then I've just been messing around with it. And then out of nowhere, people have kind of been getting into retro computing out of nowhere, and it's like, whoa, it's kind of nuts. It's actually becoming a community and stuff, so it's really cool. And I'm definitely going to be talking more about how the kind of community has kind of exploded in recent years, and some of the really cool stuff that the community's actually been working on as far as retro computing is concerned. And of course, also I should just put it out there in chat, Q&A is welcome throughout. We're not really going to have a dedicated Q&A section, so if you have questions about anything in this panel, please feel free to drop, because I'll be more than happy to answer any questions. So if I do miss anything, I do apologize. Feel free to repost if I missed your question, because I don't want to miss people's questions, because those are important. Questions are good. There is no such thing as a stupid question, and I actually do believe in that. If you feel like, you know, there's something like, what the fuck is all of this, and I need some explanation, please tell me. I'd love to try and at least make this approachable and accessible for anyone that might have some cursory interest in this stuff. What is dog? I don't know. What is dog? What is the condition of being dog? I don't know, but it might be my brain, and whenever I'm feeling rather dog brain. Also, yes, thank you, Azzy, for the poster. I do appreciate it. So, yes, as I was talking about my Macintosh SE30, that's where everything started. I still have that Macintosh SE30. It actually came with me from the UK over to here in North America, and it still works. I've been keeping that machine working, and I do actually wonder at this point whether that computer will outlast me, because it is older than me. It stayed in the family since 1989, and as things currently go, that machine's going to outlast me. But yes, I've been collecting vintage Macintoshes since before they were considered old, but now it's kind of gone into anything and anything. Amigas, BBC Micros, ancient Unix hardware. Literally, if it's an old computer, it's interesting to me, and I will show that stuff off on stream, because, I mean, no one else does, and why the fuck not, right? But yeah, I do have an interest as well. I mean, broadcasting is kind of my jam. Radio DXing, home labbing, hiking, exploring. And building an analog cable TV system. Yes, really, I'm actually doing that. I've actually done some stuff on stream about setting a lot of the playout stuff on that. And also big shout out to Phil there, because he's also shares a lot of that interest with me too. And he's much further along down the sort of like old school cable broadcasting rabbit hole than I have. So a lot of his insights and stuff have been really, really interesting. So yes, big shout out to you, Phil. No, it's really awesome that we're able to sort of share on this interest together. Anyways, let's crack on, let's move on here. Yeah, so stuff we're going to be covering tonight. So first off, of course, everyone is probably wondering when it comes to old computers, it's like, what the fuck? Why would you do this? Why would you subject yourself to the pain and suffering of old computers and all the quirks that they have and do this kind of stuff? Well, I'll be explaining that. Also, of course, we're going to be discussing about different retro computing platforms, because there are so freaking many. The whole discussion about emulation versus physical hardware. Yeah, that's a thing too. Oh, why is it gone back to that? PowerPoint, I'm gonna bite you. Also, the one-on-one uncertainty collection, because yeah, folks, there's always a good time to start collection is now rather than tomorrow, because that be how it is. But like I said, I'll explain that more. Also, community made hardware. This is more of a recent development in the last, I say probably like 4 years. People are actually building hardware from the PCB up and making some really cool stuff. And we're going to actually demo some of that live on stream. And also live demos and stuff as well. We're going to be doing that. It's going to be kind of fun. Hopefully nothing will break. But yes, live demos are going to be a thing. I'm going to be demonstrating a Vampire FPGA. And I'm going to explain what the FPGAs are. But they're freaking badass. We've also got an Amiga A1200. Live, as well as a Macintosh 2FX and a shitload of emulators. So guys, it should be pretty sweet, I would hope. Yeah, oh yeah, Tech Dragon, we are going all in Amiga tonight, so hopefully you'll enjoy. You got a bigger collection. You have your ham ticket. I don't have a ham ticket. I need to get like a ham radio license at some point, like, because I've got all the shit here to receive, but I haven't really built anything to transmit, so I should probably do that at some point. Why did you climb the mountain? Because it's exactly, like, how'd you learn about the presence of the mountain and all the things of in and out unless you actually go and actually deal with it? Also on the right hand side here, we've got my HP J6000. It's a dual PA RISC server, which was released in 2000, and you can believe that a machine in the year 2000 has 16 gigs of RAM. Can you see how tall the RAM modules are in that thing? This thing did not fuck around. It's fucking sexy. I love the J6000 because it's kind of the pinnacle of when like HP were still pushing their esoteric processors, and it's just wild. It's just absolute peak wild. And I have shown this off on stream a few times. I do need to show it off again, but yes, this is a HP J6000 running HPUX 11i with all 16 gigs of its RAM, so yeah, that will be probably making an appearance at some point soon. Connie, is that Connie Theus? Well, glad you like the retro stuff. I like retro stuff too. Excellent. Well, you're in good company here. Welcome in to you. So radio made of ham. I love ham. Ham's great. It works well in sandwiches. And of course, I would not be doing Rahari any service if I weren't to mention their wonderful art. Yes, we are going to be raffling off a commission Ferrari, who is a local furry to me up in the Vancouver Lower Mainland. They are wonderful, wonderful artists. Absolute sweet person. I saw them about 5 years ago. And yeah, no, it was wonderful to meet them, and it was by sheer coincidence that we were paired up for the stream tonight. So no, really stoked to be raffling off a commission slot for them. So yes, later on in the stream we will be opening up the contest, so stay tuned for that. You will need to enter in a command into chat to enter into that raffle. And the winner, and there will only be one winner, there's only a slot to go, they will receive a commission slot for either a shaded headshot, bust, or digital illustrated badge. Ultimately, the choice is up to you. The winner, you choose whether you want that headshot, bust, or badge. Though, do note, their badges will not be shipped. They won't be laminated or shipped like that. They will be received by email. So if you want to actually have that badge and wear it to a con, you'll need to sort out printing and lamination. But fortunately, laminators aren't too spendy. So, hello there, Jesse. I see you there in chat. Professor Kai? Professor. Oh my goodness. I don't feel like I have earned such a title. Thank you, Jesse. I'm glad you think so highly of me. Where he holds a spoon. I'm always prepared, Dad. Oh. Harif, always calling me Dad. That makes all the happy brain juices happens. I mean, to be fair, like the art that I have on the curator bot account is very professor-like. Almost, I don't know, kind of has Professor Layton vibes. Not that I've played much of Professor Layton, but definitely seems to have that vibes. Also, definitely, those in chat, please go drop a follow to Rari Draws on Twitch and Rari on Twitter as well. Like I said, they are wonderful artists and they absolutely deserve all the love tonight. I don't know if Azzy, if you're able to run the command that will do the thing. Yes, Azzy, Daddy Kai. I can be Daddy Kai. I can be a buff husky doing husky related things. You mind if I call you? I don't mind. I mean, Dad is absolutely Dad energy. I mean, I call Azzy Dad. I mean, wait, did I announce too much on stream that I probably will regret tomorrow? But hey, that's a future Kai problem. But anyways, go drop Rari a follow there. They're a wonderful artist, and I'm sure they will most definitely appreciate it. But yes, as I said, raffle will be later on in the stream, so stay tuned for that. Anyways, God, trying to actually cooperate with my computer here. So, back to the panel. So, just heckin' why? Why would anyone want to be involved with vintage computers? Because, like, you know, it comes with pain and suffering and IRQs. And all kinds of hardware-related painful things. I mean, I don't know how many people in chat here have used Windows 95 and dealt with all the driver hell that comes from it. Some of it definitely comes with pain. But there's also a real rewarding element to it as well. Because at the end of the day, computer history is really quite fascinating. Because really, in the late 80s to mid-2000s, people hadn't really settled on a standard computing platform. Like what we know as x86 today, our standard PCs that we play games through Steam on, that wasn't necessarily a guaranteed destination that we would have all ended up at. In the 80s and 90s, there were many different paths that computing could take. And to me, that's really interesting to see what those different paths were and actually explore them a bit. Because at the end of the day, companies really try and throw everything and anything at the wall to see what would stick. Because, you know, it was still really early days. I mean, you know, the internet came about in 1992. Social media didn't exist. No one would know what that was. So, you know, no one knew how any of this would ultimately go. So people would end up releasing some really weird heckin' hardware, which today makes no sense, but back then, they thought, oh no, this is going to be the next big thing. The Power Glove. The Power Glove being the absolute ultimate way to interact with your games. We may know that that certainly did not become a thing. So sorry I have to go now. See you next week. No worries, Cornethius. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Yeah, a Power Glove. I do need a Power Glove in mode. That would be great. It's just like, I have a Power Glove. Like, maybe it probably work better as a sticker, but I just have one, like a Power Glove on my paw. I just basically say, it's so bad. Yeah, we love the Power Glove. I haven't actually tried one out though, but that'd be fun. But the other thing as well with retro computing, it's absolute enormous software, demo, and games libraries have been preserved. Like, I don't know how many of you have gone on archive.org, but there is a humongous library of stuff on there for vintage computing platforms. I mean, more than you could ever spend on your entire life doing with. Also, who the heck followed me? Oh, thank you for the follow, Dark Rider 2603. Thank you. But yeah, there's a humongous library. I mean, of course, those that have played maybe console emulators go and find that ROMs are easily accessible, and indeed, it's the same deal with old games, old software. A lot of old software has been preserved, and if you want to explore through these platforms, it's all there, just ready to be explored. And that's kind of what sucks me in a bit. And it's also an opportunity to learn really quite how we've got here today, because where we got today was not a guarantee. Certain things worked out, certain things didn't, and we certainly ended up here, and it's kind of interesting to explore where things could have gone. Indeed, Apple, who of course released the iPhone, the iPad, and have become one of the world's most valuable companies, there were so many critical junctures in that company's history that absolutely did not guarantee that they were going to end up here today. If I told you that they were developing an operating system in the 90s, that if it was successful, you would not be having your iPhone today. Yeah. Because of Apple, at the end of the day, failed on that effort and ended up having to buy a different company, and only that did that bring the brains. We're going to bring around the iPhone and the iPad and set them on their journey today. So it is quite interesting, really, that all the possible paths that technology could have taken. We could have had a situation where Commodore didn't go bankrupt, that Commodore could have been one of the absolute massive technological players today. But of course, as history says, they went bankrupt in the 90s. But it would be interesting to think, what would have they done? Because Commodore really were pushing the envelope in the 80s with what they were able to do. They blew people's minds. Their machines were so incredible that they went as far as booking seats out for their prototypes on airplanes to demo them. Yeah. Now, Commodore was something special in the 80s. And it is quite sad that things didn't work out for them, that we don't have them today. And of course, I could not really get around to saying this, that like, preserving vintage hardware saves it from the landfill, saves it from incinerators. Ultimately, it's green. Because at the end of the day, if things get broken down, things get incinerated, it's putting shit into the atmosphere, and we're ultimately losing these effective antiques at this point. So it's actually a bit of a green thing. Preserving this stuff, allowing future generations to enjoy. Yeah, there's a thing to that. So, you know, the more machines that get saved from the great trash can in the sky, the better in my book. And of course, I would be remiss to not mention that we do have a thriving community now with some of the most incredible homebrew hardware, where even on a weekly basis, my mind is blown by kind of what we've actually been, what the community has been working on in recent years. It is just astounding. I'm going to be delving into that further on in the stream tonight. The Drake Cash Can in the Sky. Exactly, yeah. Exactly, Azzy. So yes, retro computing platforms. We have so many of them. Because like I said earlier, is that there were so many different companies where they were developing their own unique platforms. We had not standardized around the IBM PC compatible, which became your PC today, which, you know, you're running Windows 10 or 11 on and playing Steam games and what have you. That wasn't a guarantee. Indeed, earlier on in the 1980s, we had the wonderful 8-bit micros. So for those tuning in from the UK, you'll be familiar with the BBC microcomputers, the Sinclair, of course, Dragon Data as well. But also those in North America may be more familiar with the Ataris and the Commodore 64, the Apple IIs, maybe the MSX. And of course, you know, it was very much a regional thing. Like, people in the UK had our own computing platforms, things like BBC and Sinclair and Dragon 32s and stuff, which didn't make it over here. Over here, it was more of a, like, Ataris and Commodore 64s. And maybe also the Apple IIs. Apple IIs, could you believe it, were actually a bit of a rarity in the UK. There was a YouTuber who goes by RMC Retro, actually quizzed the people that were visiting his computer museum, and he's based out in the UK, that how many of them had a Apple II in the 1980s. And I think out of about 30 people, he found one person that did. The Apple II was a lot more common, especially in educational establishments in North America. Hell, I actually still have an Apple IIe in my other room, which has still got a school district asset tag on it. Yes, these machines definitely have quite the history with them. Sir Clive Sinclair and his silly car, yes. Could not forget about Sir Clive and his dinky little car. Yes. I don't know if I'd liken, like, Sir Clive to, like, British Elon Musk of his time. But he had a personality and he was definitely quirky as hell. And a bit psychotic. There's a really good docudrama called Microman, where he basically throws a telephone across the room and just goes, "Fucking bloody hell!" It was really funny. But yeah, Sir Clive, he was a bit of a derp. And then of course, as the 1980s went onwards, we evolved into the world of 16-bit micros. We had the Amigas. Of course, Atari made their own 16-bit as well. But my knowledge on Atari is a little bit limited, so my knowledge there is going to be a little bit Swiss cheesy. And of course, we had the Apple IIgs as well, which was an awesome piece of hardware, which I think Apple gave it a bit of a disservice to as well. And of course, we could not forget, of course, we had vintage DOS and Windows PCs. It was all DOS gaming and gaming on Windows 3.1 and eventually 95, 98. And ultimately, that one is what became the dominant platform. And we also have vintage Macintosh. The original Macintosh was released in 1984 and had an initial slow start, but had a bit of a resurgence sort of like later on through the 1980s, and really mark in the professional space and like desktop publishing and eventually like 3D rendering and all that stuff. Yeah, no, the Macintosh had definitely carved its own within the higher end, but also in schools and certain homes were also a common home Macintosh, and that's where my story was. My dad was a major Apple fan from before I was born, and that's what I grew up with. My first machine was that Macintosh AC30, eventually evolved onto a Macintosh 2SI, and I grew up on Macintosh System 7. So not all of us went through the same path. And of course, I could not forget old school Unix and Unix likes of many flavors. Yes, before Linux had become a thing, where in the enterprise we, outside of using Windows Server, we might use CentOS or Red Hat or maybe Ubuntu. Before that, before Linux had really matured, we were using various proprietary Unixes, be it in IRIX, Solaris, SunOS, HBUX, AIX, OpenVMS, maybe even Next. If you were wealthy and you were in research, you maybe had a Next station. And also DEX True 64 as well. Tech Dragon. The MSX was used a lot for game programming before the Nintendo Famicom came around. I could believe that. Absolutely, I could believe that. I think it's a bit insulting to Clive about him comparing to Elon Musk. Probably. I don't know what kind of guy that Sir Clive was like outside of what I saw in Microman. He was a character. So yeah, so what we got going on here on the left-hand screen here is my Amiga 500 here, playing Pro Tracker mod files. So mod files are music. They will play music but they don't have the exact recordings. So like you play like an MP3 or something, it's just a recording of sound that was earlier taken. But back then we were a lot more limited in like drive space and stuff. So music back then would have been instructions. And that all mod files are is they are instructions to the computer's music synthesizer to play certain tones and instruments. So mod files, despite being some of the most wonderful music we could experience, they're usually only a couple of K in size. And that's what we're going to be checking out for our first demo tonight on the Amiga 1200. We're going to go ahead and try and play some mods. Hopefully it'll work out. Like I say, I did try and do some prep before stream, but as it is with old computers and things that can break, things may go wrong, but we hope that they won't. So let's go right over to it. Let's go over to the Amiga 1200 here. That's the vampire. Let's go over to... Actually, no, I think this is the right screen, but... This should be the Amiga 1200. Yeah, there we go. So this is a different version of ProTracker. ProTracker was a reasonably popular mod player for the Amiga platform in the 80s and early 90s. And I think this is one of the later versions of ProTracker, maybe potentially even like a custom version. But they all can do the same thing in terms of playing the music, because at the end of the day, the music is created by physical hardware at the end of the day. When have computers ever had issues? Exactly. Even if you like use a modern computer these days, things may go completely and utterly wrong. But yeah, let's go ahead and see if we can play some mod files. If I can actually find my... you would not believe what my desk looks like. It's a absolute rat's nest of cabling, because I have like 3 computers hooked up for us tonight. And we have to go over here and then go to... I didn't like that. I think it's DH. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so this is like the folder that's got all my mods in. So the file browser function in ProTracker is a little bit iffy, because you kind of have to be aware of kind of like the quirky things in terms of how Amigas name like their drives and stuff. But once you kind of figure that out, it's alright. So let's go and play... I could go ahead and play one of my favorite Amiga songs, which is, I think, Space Debris. Should be on here. Yeah, there it is. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and pause our background music here, and let's go check out a mod file in the form of Space Debris, which is one of the most awesome Amiga songs that's out there. Alright, let's go bring down here, and with a bit of luck, if everything works correctly, which I hope it will, this will come through. Hopefully. Let's go and do this. Space Debris. This is not the best UI in the world, I will admit. Okay, that's not playing through. Hang on. I know what's probably going wrong here. Maybe. Just give me a second, guys. I'm just going to make sure this comes through for you. 1, 2, 3. Stack here. It's not coming through. Let's go ahead and give voice meter a restart, because it's probably being a little bitch. Yeah, that's correct. Okay. Yeah, there we go. I knew that there was going to be some technical difficulties in some form. Go ahead and try and make sure that we got some sound coming through my main PC here. Okay. Oh, there it goes. Okay, I don't know what the hell was going on my PC there, but I guess it took some percussive maintenance to try and get the audio through. Anyways, this should work now. There we go. Yeah, this song's an absolute heckin' banger. Takes some effort, but we get there in the end. So yes, we actually have an Amiga here that is using its hardware sound chip to read the instructions of this mod file to utilize various instruments, tones, and what have you to play this music. This music file is probably about 30k in size. And what a banger it is. So here you go, an old use of old computers here. Listening to some pretty sick music. Ah yes, cursor light. This is probably like the equivalent of using an electronic keyboard to play music. It'll have a chip on it that can generate tones and instruments and what have you. It's a computer that has the same physical chip. And all of this is commands we set that chip to play out some pretty sick beats. Ah, we have a follower. What do we have? Thank you so much for the follow there, Gungri. I appreciate it. And also thank you to Hurricane Husky 8. Really appreciate it, dude. These tracks someone made before ages ago, or something made today but designed for an older computer. It varies depending on what the song I've loaded is, but there were definitely people that made songs in the 80s that we could be playing today. A lot of the games that were made for this machine would be playing music that were made in the 80s at the end of the day. The Amiga, I think 500 and 1200, I think had a chip called, I think it was Polar. I think it was called Polar, which was a music chip that was so legendary renowned for being so good that the Amiga had a rep for how good the music was that came out of it. But yes, you would need an older computer with the physical sound chip or an emulator to play the music like this. You wouldn't just be able to put this into VLC or iTunes or what have you and just listen to it. You need a machine that can synthesize music. Oh, thank you so much for the follow there, Ripper253. Welcome in. Welcome. Spot Pro Tracker. Hey. Yeah, it's awesome that you recognize Pro Tracker. I love Pro Tracker. It's great. I love all the weird like UIs it has for like the different versions. It's sick. Oh, another cool individual for retro PC stuff. Oh, hell yeah. Dude, that's heckin' awesome. Forever on the quest trying to get my A500 keyboards fixed. Oh, man, yeah. I've heard a few people have had issues with A500 keyboards and trying to get them working again. I was kind of lucky I bought my A500 like 14 years back and it came boxed. And that back then you could buy a boxed A500 for like 20 quid. Yeah, there we go. So that's that is Space Debris, which is fucking sick. Actually, the funny thing is that this is a song that we play out on the Amiga, but the first time I actually heard it was a clone of a game on the Macintosh. But then I saw like someone that was playing it out on the Amiga like a few years back, and I'm like, holy shit, so that's where it came from. This song's a fucking banger. But yeah, you know what I'm going to do is we're going to continue playing out some music from this, and I'll continue on with the panel. So we'll not resort to Spotify, but we'll be edgy fucks and play stuff out live from an Amiga. Because why the fuck not? Why that does not happen enough on Twitch, that people play stuff live from an Amiga. But yes, this is a real life Amiga. There is no emulation here, folks. I literally have an Amiga 1200 on my desk here, taking up all the heckin' room. But totally worth it. Let's see what we got here. I quite like the Alien Breed song. Let's go with that. That's a pretty good one. Alright, there we go. Struggling with mouse here and absolutely no space to work with. There we go. Yeah, song's pretty good. I refused to get an A1200 because $120 was too much. I made a mistake. Yeah, they're going for a bit more than that now. Yeah, Amigas go for stupid money, and I mean, I kind of get it, but also it's like, holy fuck, really? Anyways, let's go straight back to the panel. We'll just be playing this in the background, and hopefully things won't go horribly wrong. Promises. Let me try and get the levels right here, because that's the thing. Oh yeah, that's right. I need to... This is... Sorry, I was getting my sliders mixed up. It's kind of a dog thing. Yeah, so Amigas, absolutely wonderful for playing music. Though that's not all they're good for. There are some absolutely sick games for the Amiga, and unfortunately Amiga hardware is somewhat spendy to get, but our emulation options are pretty great. And actually that does bring me quite neatly on to our next area of the panel, which is going to be the subject of emulation. Because after all, it is the most accessible way of exploring this stuff. Welcome in... Oh goodness me, I'm going to struggle with that name, so I apologize if I absolutely butcher it. I always found retro tech fascinating in that regards to many of them back in the day. I built true synthesizers generating the sound purely from scratch, building into the set of samples and recordings. Absolutely. There is something quite wonderful about how it just is generated by the actual silicon. It's awesome, and what people have ended up making from it. But yes, welcome in, dude. Welcome. Always wonderful having you. Also, welcome in Afronacia Bun. Hello. Welcome. Hope everyone here is having a wonderful FOMOcon. As I said, we are exploring the wonderful world of retro computing. Did you pump the gain slider? No, I didn't. It should be okay. I'm seeing the levels okay. Oh, I'm super loud. Oh, I'm super loud. Okay. Maybe. It's always a difficult challenge to get volume levels right. Especially if you have a HyperX mic, because the slider can be brushed by your t-shirt. And I'm not even kidding. That or I need to turn the music up. I can turn the music up. Yeah, that's good at. One of these days I'll figure it out. So yeah, let's go and move on with emulation. Yes, emulation. So, emulation, it is a absolute wonderful way of dipping your toes into the hobby without having to part with your hard-earned money. And almost every platform can be emulated with varying degrees of ease, accuracy, and success. And you should probably note how I've underlined both of those. Because while I say almost, does not mean every. Not everything can be emulated, and not everything can be emulated well. So, it is a very much of a case of a mileage may vary. Also, what the fuck just happened? Something just broke. Something broke. Oh dear. I think, did I kill the Amiga? Oh, I see what's kind of broke. Hang on. Folks. Technical issues. I think I knocked the power switch on my power strip. There we go. That's not coming back on. Oh dear. Technical issues. Sorry about this, folks. Okay, I'm just going to deal with that in a little bit on the side, but that's how it goes sometimes. Oh boy. Let me just go ahead and go straight back here and go here. Okay. Alright, so I'm just going to go ahead and return to Spotify and we'll pretend none of that ever happened. Haha. That's rather unfortunate. Okay. Alright, I think I figured it out. This is my pain with North American power outlets, but they seem to slip out rather easily. If you change a 0 to a 1, what would happen? It would most definitely depend where it was. I've been struggling to get my WinXP VM to emulate properly, but I got it running mostly. Okay. What are you running in? Mike seems like it's peaking right now. Okay, no worries. Thank you, Curslite, for the heads up there. I appreciate that. See above. Okay, I think we've got mostly everything covered there. Some stuff is just kicking back into life in the background. But yeah, I knocked out the power by accident because my foot went somewhere it shouldn't have. Yeah, it's a bit janky here and there. But anyways, back to my point. You know, I'm doing weird things with my tongue. Yes, almost every platform can be emulated with varying degrees of ease, accuracy, and success. Because some things that are especially popular things that are well documented, will be emulated well. But other things, if you are rather interested in, say, silicon graphics hardware, your emulation journey might be not necessarily so successful. You may have a bit of a hard time with it. So yeah, I've always hated the North American outlet, but ever since I was a kid, I'd bend the prong ever so slightly in the plug to make it have a bit more strength. That is a fucking mood. I come from the UK, the land of the most superior power outlet, and I freaking hate the outlets here. They suck. Also, yeah, the tongue does keep blabbing out. I think it's confusing my mic. It's just like blah 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 blah. There we go. But the also really nice thing with emulation is you can experiment with all kinds of hardware configurations, and no more is this more present is on things like x86 box, where you can mess around with like 3DFX Voodoo cards and pretty much any card you could possibly imagine and see how your games play with it. And we'll be having a quick look at 86 box later on in the stream, where I'll be able to hopefully demonstrate at least some aspects of that, potentially. Project China, do UK powerless output more than US ones? Yes, they certainly do. We have 220 volts in the UK, and here in North America we use 110. And I, as a UK, well, person that used to live in the UK, I do use a lot of UK outlets and a lot of 220 volts. In fact, actually, the Amiga 1200 you were watching was being powered by 220 volts with a UK outlet, because it's a European machine. It's PAL and all of that good stuff. So yeah, no, it runs on 220, and I have the original block from the UK, which I probably shouldn't be using because it's a good 35 years old. It might be a bit iffy. Yeah, UK is 220, North America is 110. It's exactly that. So you could, like, you know, you could lick a North American outlet and not die, right? But the other really nice thing, okay, so back to emulation. The really nice thing about emulation is it's a lot easier to load up software and games. On older machines, you have to kind of have some kind of setup to load up software and games. So you could use things like, you know, floppy disks, but floppy disks are really small, so you're not really going to get much onto them. So you could use things like the network, so you might need a network card for it. Maybe you're using like some kind of SD or compact flash solution. Well, yeah, you need hardware for that. So you have to figure out something to get them onto those machines. But emulators, usually they have a way built right into them, so you do have a bit of an easier time with it. Oh god, Take Dragon, please don't sue me if you lick the outlet here and die. Please don't lick the outlets. We have 240 outlets in the US, but it's far larger appliances. Yes, I'm looking at one. It's probably our dryer here. That thing I think runs on 220. So yeah, it's kind of funny. North American power has always fascinated me because it's kind of weird that we have two phases coming into our houses. And on that note, I'm gonna have to quickly run ads because we're kind of getting to that point. So we'll run ads real quick while I take a swig because my mouth is drying up like the fucking Sahara here. So give me a second here. We'll be right back, folks, with more stuff. Don't worry, I will not be skimming over stuff while you're away in the ad zone. Be right back. Don't need to be newly single. Oh my goodness. Ads, I don't know her. Who's ads? I don't know. I'm sure y'all have been maybe creative enough to figure out ways around Twitch's ad shenanigans. It used to be the case if you watched through a Chromecast you'd be spared, but I don't know if that's still the case. Ah, hello Wes, welcome in. Hey everyone, I'm gonna go give a big shout out to my friend Wolfgang Cerberus. He is such a wonderful being. There we go. Oh my god, I fucking typed his name because it's that time of night. There we go. There we go, got there in the end. So yes, yeah, folks, do drop a follow to Wolfgang Cerberus there, who also goes by the name Wes. He is a wonderful, wonderful sweet being. His streams are real chill vibe. And yeah, no, he plays all kinds of indie horror games and all kinds of various things, and does stuff on VR chat too. And really, really wonderful guy, super chill, and one of my best friends, honestly. So I always enjoy his company. So yeah, big welcome on into you, Wes. You heckin' sweet bean, you. And now I'm gonna go take that swig of, like, well, it's not water. I'll leave it at that. Spicy water. Yeah. Look, we've been celebrating July 4th here. I may be allowed to drink a little bit of whiskey. Spicy water. Isn't spicy water like vodka or something? Like, because actually, I think there's a funny story with that. Because, like, me and Fev at Confuzzled a few years back were going around the con drinking blueberry vodka. And like, I think someone nearly knocked over Fev, and they were like, "Oh, look out for that dude's water!" And we were just like gritting between ourselves, and it's like, no, it's not water. Fucking just drinking like, you know, non-con provided drinks in the con spaces because we were like little shits. That's right, we were fucking drinking them in fucking tankards as well. Like, we weren't even fucking hiding it. Oh man, Confuzzle was such a good fucking like con. No, I always had some good fun there, and did some things there that probably I shouldn't have, but that is a story for another day. All right, we're just about coming out of ads, so about 1, 0, blah blah blah. Okay, welcome back from ads, folks. Sorry about the ads, it's just a Twitch thing. They're really busting my nipples with that one, but hey, that's just how the system works. So yes, we're going back to the whole topic of emulation and stuff. The other, so cool thing as well is that there's often pre-made OS images. So, you know, if you don't want to have to set something up from scratch, chances are you could go download it and boot something straight up right off the bat, which I may have sneakily done for our emulation demonstration type. But hey, if anything, that proves my point. That really proves my point. I don't know how I didn't get ads, but not until Bezos. So don't worry, Ripper. Your secret's safe with me. And yeah, the final point on that is like emulators are often super portable, so a lot of them are on written in terms that they're not really bound to any particular processor architecture. So you can compile your emulators for the Raspberry Pi, for example. So RetroPie, a lot of that offers exists because emulators can be recompiled to work on a Raspberry Pi really easily, in the sense that you might not even need to make any code changes. You literally just compile on a Pi and it works. That's not always the case for software. Sometimes a lot more work is involved with porting between platforms. It depends really how close the code is to effective machine code, which is essentially really low line instructions that actually send specific tasks and instructions to a CPU. And CPUs from different platforms expect different instructions. Now, you may have some things like languages that are more portable. You may have like C#, for example, or Java, which doesn't really call CPU functions or instructions, and instead will use a compiler against a particular platform, and it will convert that to machine code. And usually using higher level languages do allow for that portability. Of course, I'm not a developer, so I could also be talking out my ass here. So if I am talking my ass, well, be glad that you're not smelling it. Well, say hi. So yes, if emulation is so good, why do we even bother having real hardware at all? Like, indeed, why? Why? I mean, you know, you've got right here on the right hand side a Next desktop, something that would have cost you $10,000 about 25 years ago, can be accessed through a web browser for no effort whatsoever. Also, a big welcome on in, Morrow. Hello. So good to see you, Morrow. I always love seeing you drop into chat here. No, Morrow's really sweet. I love Morrow. I always love seeing you in VR, dude. So, why do we not necessarily want to go emulation? Well, there are indeed downsides. I mean, we only have to look on the left-hand side of our screen here. We have an example of IRIX 6513. This was a screenshot from a previous stream about a couple of months back, and this is running on a Silicon Graphics Indigo 2. This is something we cannot emulate. Our ability to emulate anything Silicon Graphics related, which is a proprietary Unix platform that was involved with making VFX for movies like Toy Story back in the 90s. Our ability to emulate this hardware is very limited because it was very specialist and proprietary. Honestly, we look at the boards for the machines of this era from Silicon Graphics, we have no idea how they work. There's no technical documentation, there's no schematics. We don't even understand what the pinouts are for the power supplies. We have not really much basis to even emulate this stuff. And our only ability for emulating silicon graphics is using MAME, which can emulate an SGI Indie at like 5% speed. And I'm not kidding. I actually tried emulating an SGI Indie once, and it took about 25 minutes to reach the desktop. I was like, yeah, this is a no-go. This is absolutely a no-go. So if you want to get your toes in with IRIX, you're gonna need physical hardware. And the annoying stuff with SGI is it was really expensive at the time, and there's not much of it out there. So you've got to be pretty crafty in how you acquire it. Let me catch up with chat here. Remembering that you used to make Toy Story reminds me how old I am. Oh gosh, well it's alright, I'm right there with you. I'm an early 90s kid, so you know. I know of like, it's weird to me that like we have kids these days that like grew up on like Windows 7 and stuff, because I'm just like, wait, you don't know what like 98, 95, even like XP was, and you're like an adult now? This is scary. I don't feel okay with this. Also, yeah, you're also early 90s. Oh yeah, heck yeah. Oh, I'm 92, dude. So yeah, no, it's oh god, I have so many fond memories of the tech from the 90s. Like, oh, I would not have traded to grow up in that time period and anywhere else. It's so awesome. Yeah, back in the good old days, right? Heck yeah. So yeah, back to my early point. So remember, almost does not mean every platform. So while some things may be very easily emulatable, things like maybe an old IBM PC compatible, when we're dealing with proprietary hardware, that becomes harder and harder. And at that point, we do actually need the real thing. Dreadnought's 89, Tech Dragon's 91. Oh, nice. Awesome. Yeah, heck yeah. Late 80s, 90s crew unite. Heck yeah. I can't use the phone and is at the same time. Oh. Yeah, dude. I actually have a funny story of that, because we didn't get onto broadband until like 2007. And we were needing to use the internet so much, we actually had to get a second phone line installed in the house, because my mum was on the phone so much, but everyone else in the house needed to use the internet. So we actually had to get a second analog line in for like for like standard dial-up, because I lived right out in the sticks. It took so long for us to get broadband. I know the dream of having a second line for like dial-up. Even though a fucking ISP limited us to like 120 hours a month, that was fucking brutal. I don't fucking miss that one bit. Yeah, so IRIX is the case of very limited ability as far as emulation is concerned, but we can emulate it through MAME. You can emulate an indie, but that's as far as you can go. It's 2D only, and it's hideously slow. You want to emulate 3D, which we've got on here. We actually have a gravity demo here, which relies on 3D rendering. You would not be able to do this in emulation. This is something that requires physical hardware to do. Another thing that we've actually demonstrated on chat quite frequently in the past is that of Itanium. Now, some folks were around following tech news in the 2000s may know of Itanium. It was Intel's attempt to bring us into the 64-bit era. But rather than just extending the existing x86 Intel architecture that everyone was using at the time to 64-bit, Intel thought, well, let's start afresh. Let's build something with risk and shininess and cool things. Let's just start afresh. But they made such a pig's ear of it that it was a complete and utter failure. But the funny thing is with Itanium, it kept going on far longer than it should have, because HP hoodwinked Intel into a contract that required Intel to develop Itanium all the way to 2019. A good 15 years after it was realized that Itanium was a bit of a dud. And despite all of that, we don't actually have a way of emulating it. You cannot emulate Itanium, you have to run physical. There is a very unknown emulator of Itanium called Soft SDV. But it was internal to Intel, and to everyone's knowledge in the community, it has not been leaked. So unless that becomes leaked, our ability to emulate Itanium is very limited. There are some efforts to build some kind of Itanium emulation in QEMU, but it has not got anywhere near close to functional. Let alone booting an OS, it won't even load a kernel as far as I know. Hoodwinked is such a funny word. It's such a silly word. I loved Hoodwinked. Hoodwinked's so much fun. We moan over 2 gig symmetrical fiber, right? I love the internet here. It's so good. Not to humble brag, but humble brag. Yeah, no, we told Comcast to fuck off a few years ago. Itanium, no. Yeah, so I actually have done quite a bit with Itanium here. I actually have 2 Itanium machines. I have a Itanium software development vehicle, which was the original hardware sample, effectively, that Intel sent out to their hardware partners to develop software and hardware for the platform. Somehow I came into possession of one of those, and then also I have a HP RX 2600, which is an Itanium 2, which is one of the newer ones. So we have played that out on stream in the past, and it is wonderfully cursed, as you can imagine. Also, in terms of other esoteric architectures, Alpha, PowerPC, and Spark Emulation is a bit of a mixed bag. So with Alpha, as far as I know, I'm not aware of much in the way of any operating systems you can boot an emulation on it. You certainly cannot boot the NT flavor that is for Alpha through QEMU. PowerPC is... I'm not sure even the ability of like boosting AIX through QEMU, but I imagine it's fairly limited. And Spark has come leaps and bounds in recent years, so it can boot Solaris now, but it's definitely not close to the original thing. So, you know, emulation on more esoteric stuff is definitely very much a mixed bag. So unless you're looking to do something that's very popular and common and well documented, like IBM PC compatibles, there's a point where, you know, if you really want to explore these platforms, you're going to actually need the real thing. Also, a big thank you to the follow there, blah blah blah, Silent Jedi 95. Thank you, and also, so shit, I think I did say thank you to Afroncia Bun as well. Yeah, sorry, short-term memory loss. It's something. Dog brain, smooth, etc. And yeah, even like on the concept of classic Mac emulation, we'd think that like given like how reasonably popular the classic Mac was, that the emulation would be fairly mature. It's really not. It's actually a bit of a mess. Actually, someone made a really good blog post on that, but it's actually a bit bad. Also, thank you, Arja Jarok, for the follow there as well. Thank you. Welcome on in. Hope you enjoy your stay here in the Retro Who's Hangout. Anyways, back to my point. Yes, Mac emulation is a bit of a shit show. We have a couple of emulators for the Mac of various maturity. Mini VMac for like System 6 and earlier, and maybe early System 7 is decently reliable. But then the main ones, Basilisk 2 and Sheepshaver, they were developed about 15 odd years ago, and they've had bits of improvements here and there, but the code and the reliability and some bugs on them is a real mess. An absolute mess. So I will be demonstrating some of those emulators up on stream in a little bit. Don't worry, I forget a lot of things too. Yeah, there's just so much going on. It's really hard. Also, hi there, Silent Jedi. Thank you for tuning in. Welcome. So, if I fall asleep again, ask Azzy to honk my face with an air horn. Can I bite instead? Well, Azzy, you can definitely bite. Though I do warn you, Harif, Azzy bites very hard. He is a bitey. He is a biter. He doesn't fuck around. But I certainly am not complaining. Alright, let's go progress onwards. There is actually yet more downsides of emulation. It's not just in terms of platforms aren't compatible. They can involve convoluted hardware configuration. You only look on the right hand side here. We have choices in the form of UAE. Now, to me, this UI makes a bit of sense. But if you're just that person that wants to go quickly play maybe an Amiga game, what the fuck is all of this? And that's a bit harder to deal with. You want to just play a game real quick? It's not so easy. Now, some emulators, in the case of WinUAE, they do have quick starts here, which may help you, but it's not a guarantee. Sometimes you just have to deal with those quirks. Also, where the hell's my mouse gone? My mouse has died. It does that. Alright. Let me try and catch up. Thank you so much, Polaris Bop, for the follow there. Thank you. Welcome into the Retro Who's Hangout. Thank you for tuning into FOMOcon AC 2024. Heck yeah. But yeah, emulators can be fucking complicated as fuck. Like, sometimes even as someone that's fairly versed as myself, I can kind of sometimes find myself scratching my head at emulators. And, you know, WinUAE, which you're seeing on the right-hand side here, it's actually one of the easier ones. Some of them can be like, oh, there's no UI here. You're typing stuff into the shell to configure everything. So, sometimes it can be real awkward. But yeah, the other aspect is that they do sometimes lack the immersion and authenticity. Maybe you're dealing with a 4K monitor and you're having to deal with scaling issues, or the fact of just, you know, you're getting distracted by having Twitter or Reddit up on the side. I know I find that issue all the time. And it just doesn't feel right. Like, there is a bit of a difference between if I hook an Amiga up into, like, you know, a standard analog TV and start playing games, it's a very different experience to running WinUAE and then playing from my PC. It sometimes then means that, like, well, I've got a serial-based joystick which I might be playing those games with, which I can't hook up into my PC. So that's keybinds or using a controller that's far too modern for what I'm trying to do here. And then you get into the whole mess of trying to deal with key bindings. It can be a real pain in the ass. And like I said, yeah, UI is often lacking, non-existent. Like, yeah, exactly. I'm looking at you, QEMU, that has UIs if you wanna like run like an x86 machine, like an IBM PC compatible, which there are so many options for, so many, because it's like, well, you got VMware, you've got VirtualBox, you've got Parallels. It's just, you know, there's no shortage. You got x86 box, you got PCM. You don't really need to be running your PCs in QEMU. I don't find QEMU beneficial for that, but all the UIs only let you do that. But QEMU can run emulations for all kinds of different platforms. They can do Spark, they can do RISC-V, they can do Alpha, they can do MIPS, they can do PowerPC. There's so many more, but no one has made a unified UI that actually works well with those different platforms. So you're typing in stuff through a command line. Mostly interact with QEMU via Docker. Well, yeah, well, exactly. I mean, it works great if you're like running it in like a programmatic fashion through like things like Docker and stuff. But if you want something like you would have with like VMware Workstation for QEMU for different platforms, you don't get that, and it's a pain in the ass. And that's a really annoying. So thank you, Ryder the Sossig. Sossig. That's a great name, Ryder. I love Sossig. That's what we call that's what me and Azzy call our dog. He's our Sossig. He's literally a tube on legs. And also, yeah, like emulation as well, resolution scaling issues. That's a thing too. I mean, I'm a bit of a 4K snob on my PC, so you know, Windows can't do UI scaling for shit, and that can cause havoc with emulators. In fact, actually, the screen I'm showing right now off my main PC is actually in 1080p, just so you guys can actually see stuff in a reasonable fashion. Well, see, that's welcome in, Ryder. Hello, well, I hope you enjoy your stay here. Also, Tech Dragon, I've just been making virtual machines with Oracle VM to emulate all this stuff, but even then that's limited. Well, that's the thing, like Oracle VM, it will do x86, but if you want to run a, say Sun OS in Spark, Oracle's not going to help you out there. It only does x86. So QEMU is your only option, but you're bashing stuff into a shell or a configuration file to make it work. You don't have a nice centralized place to manage that. Sossig. We love our Sossigs. It's also non-cycle exact emulators. So MAME, which if you're like a person that likes messing around with arcade emulation, that our MAME is a very accurate emulator in the sense it does focus on being cycle exact, but others say like the old vintage Macintosh emulators aren't cycle exact. That can cause problems for games. They might run too fast, or you might get some weird glitches, and that's something you're going to have to spend time troubleshooting. And moving on to the aspect of troubleshooting is the aspect of crashing. Again, the Macintosh emulators like to crash a lot. Sheepshaver, which is the PowerPC Macintosh emulator, is particularly guilty of that. Sometimes you might be using it on your day-to-day, and then suddenly when it boots up, it just crashes the desktop, and at that point the OS is trash and you have to kind of start again. Not really something you deal with physical hardware. And yeah, like I say, keyboarding nightmare. And to me, and this is like I guess a me problem, but with emulators it feels a bit ephemeral. Now what does ephemeral mean? It means it lacks permanence. So, you know, if you're dealing with like your virtual disk literally being a file in, say, your documents folder. So when you're using an emulator for an old computer, your hard drive for that emulator is stored as a document on your main computer's file system. That's just the way it works. But the problem is that stuff can get lost. Versus like if you actually got a physical machine there that has its own storage sorted out, it's tangible, you know? It's harder for it to get completely lost in the file system and bleh. But that's a me problem, I guess. I don't know how much of a problem like other people deal with it feeling a bit ephemeral, but for me, that's my main bugbear of emulators, which is why I don't really use them terrifically much. Also, I love the word ephemeral. I blame Docker for giving me that whole word of using ephemeral, but it does work very, very well. And there's also the pain of needing to hunt down ROM and BIOS files, and in recent years that hasn't been as bad, but it's still a thing you have to consider. Also, yes, UAE once did stand for Unusable Amiga Emulator, but these days I think more fairly it's referred to as Universal Amiga Emulator. It is a very good emulator, I'll give them that. But yeah, back in the 90s and early 2000s when they were developing it, it did not get you very far. So UAE was definitely the unusable Amiga emulator. So what emulators do we have to mess with? Well, you know, for our main two platforms here that people are familiar with, for IBM PC compatibles. Now, when I refer to IBM PC compatibles, that's like the computer you're probably watching this stream on. You know, it's got a BIOS, it's got an Intel CPU, maybe it has an AMD CPU. You know, you got your PCI Express and all of that stuff. That's an IBM PC compatible. They don't really refer to them as such anymore, but that's kind of how it's kind of gone on, and IBM PC compatibles have kind of become the dominant platform. Also, no worries, take care, Doug Shintella. Thank you again for the raid, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Shall catch you around. Yes, thank you for the luck. Always appreciate it. And yeah, on the subject of IBM PC compatibles, they've been around since the old Intel 8088 of, like, I think the late 70s, I believe. It realistically, and this is like where we kind of find ourselves a bit hamstrung with PCs these days, is that the x86 platform is very old. It does date back. The architecture that we run Windows on dates back to the late 70s. There's still bits in our CPUs that date back to that point. It hasn't really been completely refreshed. They just extended it over the years. So that's kind of why, like, you know, you could probably get like a program from like Windows 95 and still run it on Windows 11, because at the end of the day the architecture is more or less similar. Or you can go as far, and I actually have seen this on YouTube, someone's taken like a modern PC and like installed DOS and Windows 3.1 on, because you can do that too. So long as, you know, you can get around the firmware BIOS issues, it'll boot. Because at the end of the day, it's the same platform. And yeah, so IBM PC compatibles, it is a dominant platform that did really win out of the 90s and early 2000s. So yes, but while we do have things like VMware and stuff, they do pass through like our actual CPUs to the guest OSs. It sort of does emulate some hardware, but passes through others, which if you're running older stuff, you don't really want to do. So while virtualization on the Bullet 4 there does exist, not necessarily always ideal. So you might want to use something like DOSBox. If you're playing like old DOS games, you want to like play like Duke 3D or what have you, DOSBox is probably a good option. And DOSBox is a bit weird because it kind of just runs DOS, but I don't know if it's like counts as full emulation or what have you. DOSBox is a bit weird because it doesn't run as like a full virtual machine as like other things do. Maybe I'm wrong. I could be wrong. I don't know the huge ins and outs to DOSBox, but it's a really good option if you want to just casually play some DOS games. x86 box kind of goes on a bit further if you're a bit more dedicated and you want to run like Windows 95 or 98 on emulated hardware that is accurate to that platform, then 86 box is a good option. PCM is very closely related to x86 box. It just hasn't really been updated as often as x86 box. You almost say that 86 box is like the successor to PCM. I actually saw a YouTube video on 86 box. It went into pretty good depth and covered like things like 3DFX cards and stuff that you could emulate with them. It's actually really cool. DOSBox does emulate some CPU stuff as it runs an architecture, same speed as about an x86 64 machine. Yeah, it does definitely do some emulation there. I mean, certainly if it's having to translate between different architectures, that's certainly the case. But yeah, it's kind of funky because, you know, it also kind of have access directly to your main file system. And it kind of runs its own DOS as well, which is kind of, again, a little bit weird because you don't have to, like, have a virtual machine with disk images, install DOS. You don't have a BIOS you can access. It just fires up and you've got a shell there. So it does work a little bit different from, you know, your standard emulator, as it were. But yeah, for Macs, we do have some different options. So vintage Macs, we have Basilisk 2. That emulates the old Motorola 68000 Macs. So So Apple has had a pretty extensive history of moving around with their CPU architectures. They originally started on the Motorola 68K architecture. Then they moved to PowerPC. And then they moved to Intel. And probably what y'all are more familiar with is that now they've moved to Apple Silicon, which is effectively ARM, which is the same architecture as Raspberry Pis, but Apple's done some customization on that malarkey. But yeah, Basilisk 2 emulates the earliest generation of Macintoshes, which ran that Motorola 68K architecture. Sheepshaver does the PowerPC Macintoshes that ran the classic Mac OS. Mini VMac also does the 68K architecture, but is a better focus to early System 7 and beyond and before, like, you know, Mac 128K, 512K, Macintosh Plus. Very early Macintoshes, Mini VMac's specialty is there. And then QEMU, yep, that is more recently, and probably if you, as far as cutting edge, as far as classic Mac OS emulation is concerned, that's where it's at, but it doesn't have the UI and niceties. You've kind of got to, again, configure stuff through the shell or like a shell script or something to have your QEMU VM run, say, macOS 9.2. And then PowerPC. PowerPC was a bit of an interesting one because that's actually quite an old one, which, again, could run macOS 10 for PowerPC on like x86 machines like your PCs and stuff. But it did have a bit of a performance impact. And the funniest story I ever heard from PowerPC was that someone took a Macintosh Quadra 950, which was one of the 68K Macs, one of the earliest, as far as CPUs were concerned, Macs. They put Linux on it, and then they compiled PowerPC for it. So they actually built in forward compatibility, not just for the PowerPC version of Mac OS, but the actual successor to that, which was the Unix-based Mac OS 10, and ran it on an old Quadra 950. And the reports I heard was that it took about several hours just to load the kernel, that was kind of a story, but yeah, it was wild. Ripper, there's a time that they went from 64-bit PowerPC to 32-bit Intel and then back to 64-bit Intel. No clue why they did that. You're quite right, yeah. And the reason I think they went with that is that they were using G5 on like the desktops, like the iMac and the G5, PowerMac G5, and those were 64-bit. But the PowerBooks themselves stayed on G4. There was never a G5 PowerBook, and those were 32-bit. And I think probably at the time, at least initially, that 32-bit Intel CPUs were probably not meeting the price point that they were looking for. But at the time, like, there weren't many situations where you need to push beyond the 4 GB barrier that 32-bit has at the time, so they probably squeaked through with it. But also, it's kind of a funny story because with Apple, with 68K, they started off with CISC, which is complex instruction set. They went to PowerPC, which was reduced instruction set, which was supposedly better. They went back to Intel, which was then complex instruction set, and now they've gone to ARM, which is again, you know, reduced instruction set. So they've gone CISC, RISC, which is kind of hilarious if you ask me, even though that RISC isn't as much of a big deal as it was, say, in the 90s. But ARM CPUs are pretty great. Just the amount of power efficiencies you get with them is kind of just mind-boggling. Also, Azzy, if I'm missing any questions, do please let me know. I always appreciate if you are able to give me the heads up, because, yeah, my eyes are kind of going like a chameleon where I'm splitting them between two screens, and they feel like they're about to fall out of my face. Okay, I'm good. All right, wonderful. Thank you, Azzy. And also, welcome on in, Zeebs. I'm good. I'm really glad to see you here, Zeebs. Always love seeing you drop into my streams. You are such a good bean. But yeah, like I said, if you miss those pretty BIOS setups, I'm really fond of this American Megatrends BIOS clone, 486 clone here, with the freaking color combination. You can tell by my my hoodie on my VTuber here how much I like these garish color combinations. So this BIOS is a fucking vibe. I fucking love it. It's a great shit. And of course, like I say, for all the other crazy computing platforms out there, there's also emulators of those, and we'll actually have a look at those tonight. Of course, there's Beeb M for the BBC Micros, XRAW for Dragon and Tandy, WinUE, which we've had a look at a little bit earlier tonight, which covers like the Amiga, Kegs and GS Plus for the Apple II GS, and QEMU, which kind of does everything with the lack of usability. But as always, some things cannot be emulated. Also, don't mind the butt farts on the on the Dragon 32 there, which I decided to corrupt. But yeah, let's go check out some emulators, folks. I actually have some preps and ready to go, if they are willing to cooperate. Do I actually still have them running? I have Sheepshaver running here, and it's trying to index. It literally is. So this is actually a case where I actually got a pre-made file. This might need rebooting. Never let macOS 9 index. It's going to be a bad time. And this is where, like, again, emulators have issues, because, like, Sheepshave, you can click on the X hit and it doesn't close. It never closes. And that is a bug that Sheepshaver and Basilisk have had since the dawn of time. So you kind of have to just kill... You have to just kill it. You just need to kill it. And hopefully this won't actually, like, come to bite us. There he goes. Alright. Alright, so we'll go ahead and reopen Sheepshaver here, and then hopefully it will just work. There we go. I think it's going to work. Sheepshaver is one of the more crashy of the Macintosh emulators, but it does work. And you can play games on it. And it's not a cycle exact emulator. It is ridiculously fast. Because even though there is a performance hit when you convert between PowerPC and x86, because CPUs are so powerful now, it's actually pretty fast. Yeah, so you can just go, that's just... So this is a case where I just got a disk image online and just loaded it into the emulator here. So this is not an OS I set up. I wouldn't have chosen that wallpaper. Anime girls aren't quite my jam. I much prefer anthro hotties, but you know, I'm shameless furry like that. What the fuck is this death of PowerPC.move? What the fuck is that? You may experience problems playing a soundtrack because of an unknown error code. I see helpful error messages haven't changed at all. Sure, let's just go ahead. What's gonna go wrong with that? Okay, it does actually want to play. Oh yeah. Who misses that lovely translucent plastic that old Macs had in the early 2000s? That was such a vibe. Oh, thank you, Tech Dragon. I appreciate that. Yeah, I freaking loved all the funky colors that the iMacs came out of. I guess this is like a compilation video of all like the different like PowerPC Macintoshes that were a thing of like the early 2000s. Like there's the Graphite, Power Mac G4. There's the G4 Cube. I have a G4 Cube that is in much need of repair. The see-through, exactly. The see-through plastics were so cool. Yeah, the PowerBook G4 Titanium, of course. Those machines are, they were not the most durable laptops out there. The hinges were shit. Oh shit, I remember this ad when it came out on TV. It's like the little dude and the big dude with like contrasting laptops. God, those aluminium PowerBooks are so good. Oh, and here we go. Here's the 64-bit like G5 ad. The machine is so powerful it blows a hole in your wall. Like the fuck. Yeah, the actor was Mini-Me. That's right. Good, using iMovie 4. Excellent. Oh, that was a perfect movie to have on the desktop there. So yeah, one of the cool things about exploring with the classic Mac OS is that there's so many different bits of shareware and random things that you can check out. So this is actually quite a customized install, which I barely touched because literally I downloaded this off Macintosh Garden like a few hours back. So you kind of get this funky fade in, fade out. Oh wow, that's kind of wild. Like having translucent like screen moving in macOS 9. That's like wild. That's cool as shit. I didn't know it could even do that. I didn't know you could even get share when it does that. So you can go to Apple System Profile here and it kind of throws some weird errors, I guess. What the fuck is that about? It thinks it's a PowerPC G4 with all 100 megahertz, which would be the slowest PowerPC G4 in the world. People want to joke about old game commercials being over the top with things that Genesis does what Nintendo don't, but PC commercials were just as wild. Exactly, they were just going with anything back then. No one cared. It was just like wild. So what do we have on here? We've got, so there's like software like Dave here, which was a software that allowed your Mac to like cooperate on Windows networks. We've got Real Player on here. Real Player was like a big thing in the 90s in terms of like playing streamed web content and downloaded files. I think I remember the BBC back in the early 2000s, the only way to listen to radio stations online was through Real Player. So you used to download like .rams or .rms and play them with Real Player. That was definitely a thing I really do quite remember. It's kind of that was kind of wild. Anime girls, that's cool. Well, You know, each to their own, right? I mean, I'm just a gay dog, so I mean, you know, I was lost on the girls part, but you know, I don't judge. If people enjoy the anime girls, go right ahead. What the fuck is this? Monitors and MP. Whoa, this is something I haven't seen. This is like monitors and sound, the control panel on steroids. Ooh, look at that color gradient. Like, there's just so many weird like things that can be installed and stuff. Like, this is stuff you don't get on Macs anymore. There was so much customizability in the classic Mac OS. It's so cool. Was this how people listen to private radio? Yeah, I think people did broadcast like streams and stuff through real media back then. What do we got on this? We've got a lot of versions of Photoshop on here. It's like, you know, we've got like Photoshop 6 here. It's an expired beta version? What? Why? What? Do I have to like put the clock back? Are they all expired beta versions? Oh no, this one's fine. What the fuck? Oh, hello there, Alakai the Collie. Welcome on in. Yes, dial into the Husk BBS. I actually need to set up a BBS that people can dial into. That is on my list of things to do. But you know, Photoshop 4, you could do everything you need to do on this. You don't need like Creative Suite or Creative Cloud or any of that crap. You could. Why is it not bringing up a window I could draw into? Oh, it's over here. I'm being silly. That's really tiny. Why is it so small? Oh, 32 pixels. Yeah, that's not many pixels. Fucking hell. I'm like, what's the window? Oh, well, it's 32 pixels. Like, yeah, that's not going to get very far. This is like the lack of like any Photoshop knowledge that I have. It's kind of weird. Why is it actually like a transparent layer? I don't know. I have no Photoshop knowledge. None at all. But yeah, I mean, you know, you have pencils, you have an eraser. What else do you need? It's Photoshop. And it runs on like hardware that you could like pick up for next to nothing or run it in emulation. And there's no DRM either. I'd be curious to try and make art with this. I actually have a friend. I actually brought a Mac with me to a con, and a friend of mine actually drew some furry art of 18 plus variety in Photoshop 6 on my old PowerBooks. It actually turned out pretty good. I'd love to show it off on stream, but I'd get banned by Twitch. But yeah, you can totally use like Photoshop for things. I actually have it on also an IRIX machine as well. Premiere for video editing, that's a thing. All kinds of different software that you can kind of explore. Old versions that have long since been forgotten. You can explore it all here. And yes, believe it or not, there was once an Internet Explorer for the Mac. And one of my favorite features about this is you could actually go ahead and like change the colors. They actually made different colors of the browser for different Macs. So like, you know, you had like the Tangerine and the Ruby Mac. They made the browser themes for it. Not Safari, exactly. This was long before Safari was a thing. In fact, Apple actually had an agreement with Microsoft to have Internet Explorer as a default browser so that Microsoft would continue making Microsoft Office for the Mac. Actually, the internet should be working on this. I should be able to go onto one of my friend's sites here. Let's try retrofox.gay here. I don't know if this is going to work, but it's supposed to work. I don't know if TCP/IP is going to play nice. It may be funny. Oh no, I think that's okay. Maybe. Oh, well, I guess the slurp networking doesn't work after all. Well, how about that? Where's it pointing for DNS? 1023. The networking in this emulator can be a bit weird. And if I type in like addresses properly, that would be great. Yeah. I don't know. I did configure the networking on this, but it might also not be working properly. That's the trick with emulators. Sometimes you kind of have to deal with that kind of weirdness. So yeah, I don't even know if that's even working properly. But yeah, this site, retrofox.gay, is a old school landing page of sorts for old machines that a friend of mine has made. Actually, I can go to VMware Workstation here and go to XP, so we're somewhat period accurate. So again, another sort of emulation of sorts. Running XP here. This is XP Professional 64-bit edition, because I'm fun like that. Using the fun build of 64-bit XP that no one really used, but hey, it's actually pretty fucking solid, so I can't knock it. Oh yeah, no, Vaporwave is a jam. Let's see if it works in here. There we go. So yeah, this was made by a friend of mine down in Seattle. He's made a sort of landing page for old machines. It's fully compatible, I think, down to like Internet Explorer 3. And you can even like check your local weather through it. How cool is that? And he's even put like a stack of like various period accurate like ads and little like banners and things. This is very 90s internet vibe. It's super cool. And he's got like a lot of like neat links to other sites. So our Texanet is kind of cool as well, which is kind of like it feels like an old school 90s ISP landing page, which is also kind of neat. And yeah, we also got the SDF public access Unix system, which they actually provide a phone number which you can dial into if you've got a modem. Because, you know, who doesn't like dialing in with a modem in 2024? Like, that's a vibe. So yeah, no, these are some pretty sick sites. So yeah, that's Sheep Shaver. This runs a PowerPC Macintosh. But if you want something that runs something a bit older, you can use Basilisk 2. So this is Basilisk 2. This runs a older style Mac. So this, I think, would be emulating a Mac Quadra, and that has not picked up my configuration properly, which I need to not use that. I need to come and use that. There we go. Again, this is a problem with these emulators. They don't die very happily. You can't use the X at the top of the window. It kind of has a bad time. So if I start it through here, it'll work properly. It should do. It should do. It takes a minute, though, to kind of like pick up the thing. Do you see how fast that booted up? That was instant. Because it's just piping through a ridiculously fast CPU to this machine. So, you know, for a Macintosh that's expecting a 33 megahertz CPU to be fed like a 3 gigahertz CPU is just ridiculous. It's just like, oh my god, what is this power? I don't even know what the fuck to do with this shit. But even so, beside all that power, you can still run like various games. It depends if the game kind of relies on the CPU speed at all. Like some games will time themselves based on the cycles of the CPU, and if they're like that, then they're going to be a bit problematically fast for your thing. So you kind of have to watch out for that. But yeah, this will be emulating a Quadra 950, which is a machine I referenced earlier. I don't know what this game denied. Is. Oh. Well, I guess it needs me to knock down my bit depth a bit. Do that then. I have no idea what this game is. What is Spectre Supreme? Who knows?
Welcome to Cybernet.
I have no idea what I'm doing.
Entering Cybernet.
Whoa. Oh my god. Oh, it's like tanks, I guess. You kind of go around with your mouse and you can kind of blow things up. Oh, and I think someone's getting me from behind here. Oh, yeah, there was a dude from my ass that blew me out. Where is he? There he is. So yeah, there's like tons of old like games and stuff that you can like check out on these old emulators and whatnot, and for the most part they work pretty well. I mean, Basilisk and Sheep Shaver are emulators that are in great need of people contributing to their source code. If anything, they need to be written from the ground up again because they're so old and there's a lot of really manky code left up in them. And there's literally 2 people that are maintaining the emulators right now, but realistically they need a lot more development effort in because Mac emulation isn't in the best state. It is crashy and unreliable and a bit weird at times. But if you want to play various games that are like 2D, they don't rely on any like fancy hardware, then yeah, you can play it just fine. And there's lots of really fun games for the old Macintosh. Like this is what I kind of grew up on. So yeah, what was this, Spectre or something? Yeah, Spectre Supreme. I don't know if there's any other games here I kind of recognize. Oh, Capitalist Pig. Glider was kind of a really popular one. I don't know how many of these I actually recognize. Nuke Snake, yeah, one, yeah. So there's lots of games here. This is like, again, like a ISO, not an ISO, a disk image I grabbed online from archive.org. So you could grab this ISO, disk image yourself and load it into an emulator. The emulator itself isn't too bad to configure. You kind of just have to download it from a site that's called Emaculation, which sounds very suspiciously close to ejaculation. Yeah, I know, it's like, oh my god, yeah. Yeah, so it's got the different like emulators here where you can like download different versions. You can download Sheep Shaver, Basilisk 2, and then you can go to Macintosh Garden and get the ROM files which are needed. So usually you would go to like, let's see what we got here. Yeah, the Macintosh ROM archive here. So this will provide you the ROM files to actually make the emulators work. Macintosh Garden is awesome. It's a huge repository of various old Mac software and games and all sorts of stuff. So if you're interested in old vintage Macintoshes and stuff, this site is the place to go. It's awesome. But yeah, you need the Macintosh ROM archive here. You'll need to grab one of the ROMs here and load it into the emulator. And you can kind of configure it through this Basilisk 2 setup. So you would go into here, you grab your volumes, which are like the virtual disk images you use to boot it up. So I've got this one, which is the main OS, and then one that's just got some additional stuff in. This is just like, your window configuration. Network here, you'd want this usually configured to this, which just passes through your main network to the emulator computer. So specify your RAM, what machine you want to emulate, what kind of CPU. Generally 68040 will be fine. And then this is where you specify the ROM file. It will not work without this ROM file, so this is actually really important. So you need to download this from this and grab one of these ROM files. I'm using a Quadra 950 ROM, but you could use a ROM from a different machine, depending on what you want to emulate. And this JIT compiler kind of just makes things kind of fast. This is a just-in-time translation compiler, which kind of makes things fast. And effectively Sheep Shaver is configured very similarly to this. Like, it's literally like the same UI, but it's a completely different emulator. It will emulate a newer generation of Macintoshes, but the configuration is identical. Here I'm emulating a PowerMac 8600, 9600 here, for example. A very similar deal, and this boots of OS 9. So that is Basilisk and Sheep Shaver, the two probably most popular Macintosh emulators out there. So yeah, in terms of like x86 box here, this is the other one that I was talking about, which did I fail to fucking configure these earlier? Oh shit, I forgot to put the ROMs. I forgot to put the ROMs in the directory there, but crap. I forgot to do that earlier, my bad. Hang on, let me just grab the ROMs real quick. This only takes a second to grab because it's only on GitHub. Actually, let me just do this on screen. So you can just grab the ROMs here. So ROMs are effectively like the BIOSes and whatnot to actually make the computer actually operate properly. So we got things for like different hard drive controllers, SCSI cards, video cards, different types of computers, which are everything 486s, Acer computers, Award Biospace machines, all kinds of things really. So what we do is we just go and grab these, and I'm just going to go into my system folder here and find, actually it's not under that one, it's this one, A6 box. I hope it's just looking for ROMs in here, honestly. I think it should be looking in here for the ROMs, but I'm not sure if it is, but well, hopefully it's looking here. And then that will just drop it in there as Windows takes its time to do its file transfer operations. And there's quite a lot of different things, because like it's a deal with like IBM PC compatibles. There's so many different bits of hardware you can drop into them. Because you remember, you can get different sound cards, you can get different video cards, you can different like hard drive controllers and what have you. That's like a thing that you know, we have to contend with. And then you also have to deal with all that crazy hardware configuration, like dealing with like IRQs and all of that jazz. So no, it's definitely a thing. So if you want to have the experience of that without having to actually fork out for hardware, then you can do that. Yeah, I think this will just blitz through pretty quick, and at least hopefully we can at least open up the x86 box. There we go. I'm hoping that will do the job. There we go. Yeah, so it brings it up now because we just put that into its local directory. I think by default it's going to emulate an 8088 based PC. Or nothing at all. Oh no, there he goes. Yeah, so this is emulating an 8088. I'll just make this big. There we go. The IBM Personal Computer Basic from 1981. So yeah, this right here is your very original IBM PC. Before it was even a PC compatible. But we don't have to be emulating this. We could emulate, I don't know. Let's see, what can we do? There's a frickin'... There it is. Yeah, so this is where we go and configure the machine. So right now it's configured for an 8088, but maybe we want to do a 286, or 386, 486, different sockets, Super Socket 7, whatever you want really. It goes up all the way to like Pentium 2 era machines. So we want that nice i486 that I demonstrated earlier. Well, we just go, I don't know, i486 socket free, and then we just go... I think it was maybe it was an AMI BIOS, I think. I think it was probably this. I think. Yeah, sure, let's go with that. But effectively, these are all different BIOS chips. These are all different motherboards which we can emulate. So, you know, if you like different BIOS setups, you can kind of explore through this and specify what kind of CPU type you want. You can have different 486s, DX4, Cyrix CPUs, different clock speeds, whether you want a math coprocessor or not. What kind of video display do we have? Do we use CGA, which is like, you know, an earlier display kind of thing before we moved on to VGA? Or do you want to just do like, I don't know, a video card like an S3 Verge, for example? Do you want to do something that has 3D? Do you want like a 3DFX Voodoo? Well, you've got it right here. It's kind of like whatever you want. You've kind of got like your world's your oyster with this stuff. If there's some kind of configuration you want to build your dream 90s DOS style PC, you've kind of got it all here. So I'm going to go with an ATI Mark 32. That's just a very basic standard card that's capable of 3D. I mean, you know, you can, if you want an Adlib Gold, very expensive and hard to get card, well, you go on Adlib Gold, there you go. And there you go, save the setting, and then I think we just have to, well, I think it just resets itself. So there you go, there's an American Megatrends BIOS. F1. Oh, what kind of BIOS setup do we get here? We get a, this looks like to be kind of a fancy BIOS setup. Yeah, look at that. Like, that's the cool thing with 86 box. There some vendors went really all out with some really cool BIOS setups. Like they kind of made something that looked like Windows 3.1 here. And you want to mess around with this stuff, you know, you don't have to pay anything. It's just there and available for you. So yeah, go check out 86box. It's a really cool emulator that can emulate DOS PCs of any anything you could possibly want. It's really cool. And of course, I'm going to do some honorable mentions as well to so BBAM as well. So BBC Micro computer here. So we can open up this thing here. So this plays a game here, which ZX up down, ZX up down. So the key bindings on this machine were always a bit weird. And it actually makes like noises. I love the noises. So yeah. Actually, I don't know what the frickin' commands were to go up and down, because it doesn't seem like he actually goes up and down. Actually, guys, I've got to quickly run ads. But yeah, let me go ahead and do that. So yeah, this is BBAM. This emulates BBC Micro computers, which was like the BBC Model B and the 128. These were very... Whoa. That was loud. These were very popular machines in the 1980s in schools in the UK. And yeah, not very common in North America, but again, BBAM makes it available to anyone. So yeah, definitely go check it out. No ROMs needed. Literally, you can download this and go. The blessed sound. That was louder than I thought it would be. I know, right? I think I've got my volumes fucked up here. Potentially. That might be a bit too loud. Sorry, folks, if I deafened you or even woke you up. If you have done a little snooze raid there, I'm sorry if I woke you up from your sweet dreams. Yes, so sue me, Fev. Sue me! Ah. Anyways, as much as I'd like to keep diving into various emulators, I am actually trying to also be mindful that not trying to go overrun for the person following us, because there's still quite a lot more to go through in our panel tonight. Yeah, just another few honorable mentions here. We've also got XRAW, which does our, well, not smart something or other. Oh, did that lose? Oh, that one lost my ROMs. Well, that's supposed to bring me a Dragon 32, but it doesn't have the ROM loaded, so it's kind of giving me the garbled bullshit. And Fuse would be like your ZX Spectrum emulators. This brings you up like a ZX Spectrum. So, yeah, you've got a few things there. But yeah, some machines require ROMs. So Dragon does. Those, again, if you just punch into Google, you can just find them. I'm really surprised that these aren't actually showing up, because I actually tested this earlier. But you saw it on stream. It was just going to be a green screen. This is like Sinclair, which this kind of brings you up to like a basic prompt, which then you can like load in cassettes and whatnot. I mean, the thing is, I could do panels on each of these emulators individually, because there's so much more to it. I'm literally skimming the surface of it as well. And yeah, don't worry, because I haven't forgotten about the raffle. The raffle, I think, actually will be coming up very, very soon. So hopefully Azzy is able to help me out with that, because we did set up a raffle thing, but I haven't tested it hugely much. We did test it and it worked, but we only tested it once. Only tested it once. So yeah, we're going to let ads play through and then we'll move on, which I think coming up next will be the raffle. It should be exciting. Fev wants the waffle. I want a waffle. The waffle. Do you have waffles? Send me a waffle, Fev. What the fuck? How long do you want to run it for? I think we'll go for 5 minutes, everyone, unless everyone here would like it to go for longer. Would you think, folks, 5 minutes for everyone to get their entries in? If I give you guys the head up now, because what you'll need to do when we do open up the entries for the raffle, you'll need to type in the ! enter into chat. If you're good with doing that within 5 minutes, Harif, no, you haven't missed anything yet, but the raffle will be coming up imminently. So get your paws ready, your keyboards here, because you'll be needing to do the thing. You can't type in enter yet because, as they would say on television in the 90s, the lines aren't open yet. No, not quite yet, but they will soon. They will soon. In fact, actually, make sure I am actually at the point where we actually are doing the raffle here. Okay, so we've covered emulators. We've done all kinds of different emulators. Like I said, there's so many out there, and I really cannot cover them in depth with the time we have tonight. But yeah, here's some sort of... What the hell? What? Hello? PC, what are you doing? What are you doing, PC? What the fuck? Oh my god. What the fuck? Alright, let me go back to... What the fuck was that about? I don't know what my computer is doing. Literally, like, my fucking thing is, like, held together by string at times. I'm like, I think I touched a wire under my desk and it caused things to get angry. Yeah, my main PC is dying. Anyways, alright, let's go right to it. Before I, like, break anything, let's go and do the raffle. So, yes, folks, that it is that time that we have all been waiting for. Yes, the raffle from Ferrari here. It'll be 5 minutes. When I say, not a moment soon, not yet. When I say, it'll be 5 minutes to get your votes in. And when voting opens, entries open, you will need to type in enter into chat. So 5 minutes is your window, folks. 1 entry per person, and the winner will announce once all entries have closed. And you will have the choice of a headshot, bust, or badge. Though do bear in mind, if you do go for the badge option, it will not be mailed. It will only be delivered to you digitally. For the person that does win, we'll need your Discord information. So I will get your name and trying to reach out to you via Whisper on Twitch if you want to program your Discord name, so I can put you in contact with Rahari so you can get your commission. So I think we're at that point where, Azzy, if you please, could you open the contest, please? All right, so 5 minutes. Get your entries in, folks. 5 minutes is all you've got. Actually, I should probably put an alarm on here. All right, 5 minutes, 5 minutes. Well, I'm going to kind of guesstimate this as 4 minutes and, I don't know, 30 seconds. Let's go with that. All right, so 4 minutes, sort of 30 seconds. Don't mind all the other stupid clocks here. There we go. Oh, is that set to 4 hours? God, what are clocks? My God. What is time? I don't know. Fuck me. Don't let dogs run streams because they'll end up fucking it up. Alright, folks. Yeah, this is 4.5 hours. Yeah, that's a long fucking contest, isn't it? Alright, folks. Well, that's it. Type in ! enter. Get your entries in. There will only be one winner. Getting tapped at here. Hang on a sec. Balls the arse this time. Oh, yeah. Thank you, Azzy. Yeah, we should... Wish I had the countdown theme. That would have been a good idea. Oh, well, next time. Heckin' next time. So how many we got in the raffle right now? We have... Oh, we got a few. We've got a few. How many we got? We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There we go, a couple. I said, folks, you want some free art, because free art is on the table here. Get your keyboard out and bash in exclamation mark enter to enter into this contest. Look at that fucking sick art. Like, don't you want a piece of that? Free fart? Free fart? Heck. Also, thank you so much. Fuck. Thank you so much for the 6 bits there, Jake. Welcome on in, dude. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Jake, if you want some free art, if you haven't... Oh, you already have put your entry in. Okay, I wasn't sure if you saw that. Alright. Well, folks, we've got about 1 minute 45 left on the clock. Get your final entries in there. Waiting with bated breath. Are you ready? We ready to find out who gets one of these sick commissions? Yeah, actually, I need to commission Rari at some point because oh my gosh, there's some like even just based on those 3 pieces there, I'm like, holy heck, really nice. But yes, folks, I don't know if like yeah, you can see the socials down there in the bottom. I'm too lazy to like drop the thing in the chat, but yeah, that's their handles on Twitch and Twitter. Do drop them a follow and whatnot. I'm sure they would definitely appreciate it. They're really, really wonderful local artists, and I'm sure any people dropping into their Twitch channel and checking out their art, they would be most grateful for. We're down to less than 1 minute left on the contest, folks, so this is your final opportunity to get your entries in. What the odds are paired you? I know, right? I was like, holy fuck when I saw you paired me with them, because like I've hung out with them a few times at like cons up in Vancouver. It's been a while. It was like before like the COVID times, but man, what are the odds? Doing the pairings based off intuition. Alright, I saw your entry there, MK the Toaster. Don't worry, that has been counted. We are almost out of time, folks. Almost out of time. I don't know if the countdown on the actual chat thing has actually done, but technically the entry's up. Oh, has it still got some time left? I guess I must have fucked up the guesstimation there. I was probably like screaming through. Hang on, let me just turn that off there. Alright, there he goes. Alright, Azzy, could you mind revealing to us who the winner is? Hidden Artist 12. Hey, well, congratulations, Hidden Artist 12. Well, you have won yourself one commission from Hari. So very, very well done to you. Yeah, let me just poke you on Twitch here to make sure that we keep a line of communications open. So we can go do the thing. Yeah, you won. You heckin' won. Let me just go ahead and I'm just gonna... So Hidden Artist 12 there, I'm just gonna go ahead and ask you to drop your Discord to me so I can put you in contact with the artist so that you can go ahead and claim your commission. Oh, they're already in the Discord already. Okay. Cursalite, then in fact, if you've got it, then I'll leave it with you then. But yeah, Hidden Artist, if you have any issues with that, I'm just gonna walk at you through whispers. If you have any issues claiming your commission, just give me a heads up and I'll help you out. But it sounds like Cursalite's got you all sorted out there. So thank you so much there. And thank you everyone for your entries. Big congratulations again to Hidden Artist 12 for winning the raffle there. Congratulations. I hope you enjoy your commission. I'll have to keep my eyes peeled for when Hari posts it. Anyways, there we go. Raffle done. That was exciting. I think that's the first time I've actually done a giveaway on this stream. Yay. Heck yeah. All right. Artist raffle thingy majiggy done. But we have still fun stuff to cover in this panel, more or less. And I'm actually having to be rather cogent on time now, because I actually realized we're actually down to our last 45 minutes. Can you believe that 2.25 hours have already gone? I can't. It's kind of gone really fast. So yes, let's go physical. I love that song. It's like, let's go physical, physical. I wanna go physical. Yeah, heck yeah, fucking physical. We love that shit here. And yes, on the right hand side, I went no more physical at the Seattle Retro Computing Society meetup a few months back with my Itanium software development vehicle. There it is, my beige box of rare goodness in full display. That thing is a massive tower. It's very, very long. It sucks up all the power, and it's the weirdest piece of hardware I've actually ever played with. And it is also a bit of an example of hardware which cannot be emulated, and it takes up all the space in the world. It's a fucking monster. But there are quite a few builds of Windows that you cannot run without this piece of hardware. In fact, the story with this machine, I actually had someone on Mastodon offer it to me, but the condition was they wouldn't ship it, for obvious reasons. It was massive. And they were down in San Jose. So I got on a plane and hired a car and got it from them, and then drove back to Washington. It was that much of worth doing in my book that I did that. It also worked out very conveniently because Mactoberfest also was going on in San Jose at the time. So I was able to actually pick up some other cool retro hardware at the time as well. So it was a very worthwhile trip. But my original impetus to going was this rather beautiful beige box, which this box is ridiculously rare. And not in the sense that like people are like massively desiring it, but you actually go on Google Images and you try and find one of these that look like this, chances are you'll be looking at mine. And I'm not joking. Chances are you'll be looking at this one right here. While one person who used to work for Microsoft told me that this machine was once used for doorstops at Microsoft because no one wanted them. These poor, helpless little computers, no one wanted them. They were all shredded and destroyed. But somehow mine escaped and survived. So it's one of the extremely rare to see Intel engineering samples, which I have no idea how many are still floating in the wild. Like specifically like this machine, I would hazard a guess that it would probably be less than 50. If I had to guess. These things are extremely hard to find any information on. They were eventually sold under various manufacturers like HP and Dell and stuff, just rebranded. But that was after they did the engineering samples stage, which is as this one was. This thing had a beta BIOS on it. Literally had pre-release firmware on it. Because this was one of the machines that was actually sent out to companies like HP and what have you to start developing for this platform, which ultimately wasn't successful. But no, this is a very, very special machine. We've streamed off it on Twitch a few times now. I'm probably going to be doing it again. And it is quite wonderful because there are quite a few OSs that this machine can boot that no other can. Things like the Itanium build of IBM's AIX, which is their flavor of Unix. A couple of versions of Windows that will only run on this, including a very weird XP Windows 2000 hybrid that's 64-bit. It's kind of wild. So yeah, no, this machine is the prime example of things that you cannot get away with emulation. It's an authentic, and the thing is with like going physical, it's an authentic experience, right? You just plug in and go. You hook it up to a CRT monitor, hook your mouse and keyboard in, and you go. There's no configuration you have to deal with. You're just going in, and you avoid the distractions that you get from your PC. I don't know if y'all are as distracted as me, but if I have an emulator up on my PC, I'm going to have Reddit up, I'm going to have Twitter up, I'm going to have all kinds of shit up, which are distracting me. Sometimes I just want to immerse myself in the old technology and kind of forget about the rest of the world. So, you know, there is something to be said for going original with that. And there's also the nice aspect of actually going hands-on. There's an aspect of just taking apart the old hardware, actually holding the physical hardware and the chips and the cards and CPUs and whatnot in your hands, and actually understanding the ins and outs to how it works. And you don't get that for emulation. And also, you can network them easier. A lot of physical hardware will actually just have network cards built right into it. But if not, then there's also community-made hardware which you can very easily plug in and get on the network and then transfer stuff in. Especially if you are setting up some kind of enterprisey network like me. And one thing we've done on stream is that we had a bunch of next step machines which would rely on a like basically a thing called NetInfo that allowed them to share login information and configuration and whatnot between them. It's all highly proprietary, but being able to sort of, you know, set it up in a network with multiple machines, a lot of the time it's easier doing that with physical hardware than emulators, because emulators, you have to deal with passing the network traffic between your host PC and the emulator itself and your ultimate network. And depending on the emulator you're working with, that can be a real nightmare. And fuck me, does it hit that nostalgia itch good. Like, yeah, it's like, oh, look, it's running in the emulator, it runs in the Windows. But then when you like, you power on an old machine, you hear the hard drive whir up, and you hear the little clattery of the hard drive. It's a vibe. In fact, there's so much so of a vibe that people have gone as far as going onto YouTube and making ASMR videos of hard drives spinning up and clattering. So, yeah, it's a thing. But yeah, there's downsides to it, and it's the biggest pain in this day and age is expensive as hell. It's so expensive. It used to be very cheap. Like, this is where I got most of my collection, was back before this was even like a recognized hobby. Back in 2005, I'd pick up a Macintosh 2CI off eBay for like £5, which would be like $8. Now, if you go on eBay and look up at a Macintosh 2CI, you're looking at several $100s. The shit has gotten very expensive since the pandemic. So you really have to kind of have your wits about you in terms of like going out there and actually getting the stuff. The other downside is, of course, it's, you know, 20, 30-year-old hardware. You might be dealing with breakdowns and you might need to do hardware repair, which brings me straight on to the aspect of, well, would you want to start a collection? Well, here you go. This is all the information about it. Also, welcoming in Swader there. Thank you again for the follow there. I did see that. I think that was going on to the raffle, but apologies if I missed it earlier. I've got your follow there, and I really do appreciate it. Welcome in. Make yourself comfortable. So yeah, on the left-hand side here, we've actually got a selection of machines from my own collection here. On the top left, we've got a Macintosh 2GS. Oh, sorry, an Apple 2GS, sorry. It's not a Mac, but it looks like a Mac. It's a very weird piece of hardware, and I haven't actually streamed off that yet, just because the connection's kind of weird, but I do want to stream off that soon. We got then an Optiplex GXI, that's a Pentium 1 machine there, that's running Windows 3.11 for workgroups. PowerBook 3400, which looks like, I think it's running systems macOS 7.6. Further to the right there, we've got a Power Macintosh 4400 running BOS. And then also on the right hand side, I didn't actually note this below, this is a Power Macintosh 9600 that's running macOS 10.2, which was kind of a thing we did on stream a while ago. Down here we've got a pair of Silicon Graphics Indigo 2s. We've got the purple one and the purple one and the teal one. The right one is running, I think, IRIX 5.3, I think, and then on the left it's running 6530. So this one's running the earlier version of its OS. So these machines run a proprietary version of Unix, which was again used for like making TV and film VFX stuff, like special effects and all that jazz. On the right here, we've got a Nabu. This was a Canadian computer that relied on the cable network to boot up and actually run software. And about a year or two ago, a huge stockpile of them was kind of let out and sold to everyone. They were sold for like 60 bucks a piece on eBay. There was tons of them. And people reverse engineered them and made them boot off like just a serial bus that you provided to them from your computer. So on the right hand side on this screen, you can see my computer providing all the boot information to boot up the Nabu. And here it's displaying like an 8-bit style picture as part of a demo. This was part of my earlier streams. I think this was probably from like 2 years ago. But yeah, this was very cool. This down here is a Iris Indigo, so it's kind of like the earlier model of these two at the Seattle Retro Computing Society meetup, which is doing a sort of like a Dolphin sort of style demo here. And then on the right there is an Octane 2, which is another Silicon Graphics machine, which I purchased off a guy who lived on a boat up in Blaine, Washington, which was right up against the border. There's a real funny story of all of that, but yeah, literally I bought it off a guy who lived on a boat who's going to China. Yeah, sometimes when you come into possession of stuff, you kind of get some crazy stories. And then on the right here, we have, again, another shot of the Seattle Computer meetup, which is my BBC Master 128 using a teletext card and producing a recreation of the BBC's teletext service, CFAX, for Americans that would have never seen this technology before, potentially. So this was, again, very cool to sort of show off down in Seattle. So yeah, in terms of if you want to start a collection, the best time really was yesterday, because it used to be so much cheaper. But it's also not going to get any cheaper really either. So the better time is today. But again, you got to be careful, because there's going to be a lot of places out there that are going to really take the piss. eBay really does take the piss. Like, they'll just go, oh my god, this is like super duper rare and blah 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 blah, and charge you several $100s for something that's not really worth that much at all. So really with eBay, I kind of use that as a last resort. If there's like something that I cannot find anywhere else, then it will be resorting to eBay. But outside of that, local is kind of the way to go. So if you can find stuff, create Craigslist alerts, Macari alerts. If you're up in Canada, Kijiji's pretty good too. And you're not going to just see it on a cursory look. You really have to actually wait for alerts to come through and wait for those deals to come in. That's really the trick you have to do. And you have to be quick. Like, you know, Color Classics. Like, I have a Macintosh Color Classic, and normally those go through stupid money on eBay. And I actually got one for less than $100 from a guy down on Whidbey Island down in Washington, just because I was really quick to the mark answering his alert, well, his thing on Craigslist. And literally I had to reply to him like within 10 minutes of him posting it, because within an hour he said, oh yeah, no, I've had like 6 people like in the last hour ask me about this thing. People, especially around Seattle area, kind of go nuts for this stuff, because we got lots of people kind of into it. So, you know, the demand is very high, but the good deals are out there. You just really have to kind of work for them. The other thing I'd recommend is going and getting involved with the community, because people selling within the community will tend to sell stuff at a fairer price, because they're not really out there to look to make a profit. They're wanting their machine to go to a good home. And a lot of people are offloading their collections because they don't have space, and they want it to go to someone that's going to appreciate it and utilize the machine. So they'll often sell it to you at a more palatable price. And that might be at things like, well, I found quite a few good, well-priced things at the Mactoberfest down in San Jose. That was down in October. The Vintage Computer Federation runs swap meets and events all around the country. Those are really good places to find deals. I imagine also we've had, I think, a couple of people sell stuff at the Seattle Retro Computing Society meetups, and also just involving myself through forums. I've had sometimes people reach out to me and offer to sell me something for significantly below market, which was the case with the Octane 2. He was moving to China. He lived on a houseboat, and he didn't want to haul this 25 kilo machine back to China with him, so he needed to offload it, which he sold to me probably for like 25% of what, you know, someone would have fetched for it on eBay. So you really have to kind of keep your eyes peeled and build up contacts to get the good deals. But you can build a collection on a budget. It just takes a lot more effort than it used to. Back in 2005, you could just scouse on eBay and grab whatever the hell you wanted. And I'm afraid to say that those days have long since gone. You've definitely got to work a lot harder for it now. And this brings me up to my next point, which I kind of raised earlier. This is the beware of hardware repair. Hardware repair is a big deal. We are dealing with multi-decade-old hardware here. And it has issues. And one of the biggest issues on old hardware is that we have capacitors, electrolytic capacitors, that effectively leak their fluid all over the motherboards and start chomping away at the traces. This is from a Toshiba T44SXC. This is a 486 laptop. It has a DC inboard which is notorious for leaking capacitors, and we can actually see it. This is actually a picture I was quite pleased to grab off the microscope, where we can kind of see the electrolytic fluid here, which is kind of like oozed over the board, and then you can start to see, I caught this fairly early on, where it started to break up at the solder mask and the PCB traces here. The ooze looks like a penis. I guess. I mean, it's certainly jizzing all over these traces here, and it's starting to discolor and make them sad. But yeah. So yeah, this is a thing that is very common on a lot of old pieces of hardware. So things like old Amigas, old Macintoshes, recapping them is kind of mandatory, because chances are they actually might not even work when they actually come into your possession initially. So if you want to get into collecting physical hardware, unless you want to rely on someone else, which personally I wouldn't, because they would take forever and you might have to pay them a lot of money, and given how much you have to do it, it's going to be very expensive. I would recommend learning this hardware repair stuff yourself. Now, to get started, find some junk boards from somewhere. I don't know, if you've got like an old PC motherboard, start practicing soldering and desoldering stuff before you start working on rarer stuff. What we've got here is what's known as through-hole soldering, which means that the actual leg for the component actually goes through the board. These are a lot easier to deal with, just because you don't have pads that could very easily rip off the board, because these silver pads, these can actually rip off and then you're in big trouble. But through holes often easier to deal with, but I recommend at least having a soldering iron and a desoldering gun. Desoldering gun's a big deal when you're dealing with these through hole stuff, because otherwise you're gonna risk damaging the board even further. So yeah, this was a board that I was working on about a week ago, and I was replacing the capacitors on it, and it's almost ready to be working, but it actually also moves on to my next point. It's not always just capacitors. This board also had a failing MOSFET on, which is preventing it actually running a stable source of power to the actual motherboard of the machine. And the MOSFET is identified being failing by getting extremely hot. So potentially even a thermal camera might be useful for you, because that can actually help you identify maybe components that have failed. If you're really going in deep, then you might want like an oscilloscope and actually start diagnosing, like, you know, what maybe the CPU or certain components logic might be doing to try and diagnose faults. But then you're going really into the deep end with that stuff. So yes, capacitors, while are often a common failure, they're not always the failure. And also, you've got to be careful of leaking CMOS batteries. Those are batteries that store your BIOS settings and firmware settings and what have you. And a lot of them were like in barrel-sized batteries, which are notorious for exploding and leaking all over the board. And they will destroy stuff. There's some really nasty carnage. I've seen some batteries actually explode quite violently over these boards. So if you ever come into possession of an old machine, get that frickin' battery out of there immediately. Immediately. Because literally tomorrow you could have battery crap all over your board and it's just shot. There's tons of hardware content creators to learn from. My favorite is probably Adrian's Digital Basement. He does a lot of low-level hardware troubleshooting. A lot of my knowledge for hardware repair has come from Adrian's Digital Basement. He is also actually fairly local to me as well. He's based down in Portland, in Oregon, and met him at the Interim Computer Festival back in Seattle a few months back. Really, really nice guy. Very, very chill and down-to-earth guy. very happy to chat and nerd out with people at events. So if you ever see Adrian, I'm sure he's quite happy to chat about your project and stuff that he's working on. Really nice guy. But his videos have been a real inspiration to me and learning about repairing hardware and keeping, you know, several decade-old stuff going. So yeah, if you're getting into physical hardware, then this is inevitably going to hit you at some point. Also, welcome in Tantrum Dog. Hello, hello. Thank you for joining. And this brings me on to the next point of community-made hardware. We actually have brand new open source and closed source hardware, sound cards, hard drive emulators, network bridging, custom accelerator cards, everything and anything is being built now. But of course, the costs vary widely. Open source is cheaper, especially when sourcing the components yourself. So on up here, these are some hard drive emulators. I actually sourced the components of these piece by piece and actually built them from scratch. And I was able to build them for about, I think, about $12 a piece, which is as cheap as those things are going to get. And these work as actual replica hard drives for old computers. But closed source stuff like this is the Orpheus 2 sound card. This is in my Opti right now. This is a recreation of the Gravis Ultrasound sound card. I think it also has a Yamaha Crystal sound chip on it as well. Legendary sound card, really. It's fantastic, but not cheap either, because it actually uses original source components that are quite rare. So some things may be pretty cheap, others not so much. Up here we've got a piece of hardware which sits on top of a Raspberry Pi Zero. This converts your normal network to something that runs over serial, which is compatible with older Macintoshes. And then down here we actually have a Pi SCSI, which is a hard disk emulator. And actually that brings me on to my demo here, that we actually have a Pi SCSI ready to go in, well, we do have it in, is it Windows 7? Windows 7, wake up, time to go. There it is, here we go. So we actually have a Pi SCSI ready to go here. So I'll try and demonstrate this as best as I can. But SCSI is the Small Computer Systems Interface Bus that was found on many Macintoshes, Unix workstations, various other things. And it would be something that you connect your hard drive over to. So right here, actually, if I bring up my VCS here and bring out of that and go to... Oh, that's awkward. My Mac has no power. I'm dealing with a wonky power brick. All right. Okay, so yeah, what really wonky ass fucking power brick here really let me down tonight. So there we go, there's a Macintosh right here, and we're gonna go ahead and provide this on ID6 here. So there you go, there's a ISO that's being provided as a CD-ROM on ID6, which that's not the right one. Here we go. So this is actually a real Macintosh booting up right now. Which of course isn't booting up as fast as Basilisk because this is on original hardware. So I'm hoping it's not going to have like disk corruption issues, which is also possible to happen. Okay, no, it is actually booting up. This is also running off a Blue SCSI, so this could potentially also have issues, which I hope it doesn't. But yeah, I've been let down by a power strip tonight. Funnily of all things, it's like it's not necessarily the hardware that's let me down. I'm being let down by a wonky power strip that's been cutting off power to my stuff randomly. I know, it's ridiculous. So what this effectively allows us to do is SCSI hardware is kind of difficult to get hold of now. It's not really widely used. The hard drives are all failing and all of that stuff, but older hardware relies on it. So we use those Pi SCSIs, which is this device down here, which connects over this little ribbon connection. And this allows me to actually present CD-ROM drives, hard drives, all kinds of peripherals really to this computer, all defined in software being powered by a Raspberry Pi. So if I bring this up, still finishing its boot, so this is taking a moment here, so we'll just pop that up there for the moment while it finishes up. For one of the fastest Macintoshes in its existence, it certainly does seem to take a bit of a moment on this phase of the boot. I'm not entirely sure why it does, but it seems to be something that is waiting for on a bit of a timeout. So that's definitely a thing. But as you can see here, you can see how quite useful it is, because I can have installed disks here. I can have disk images for different kinds of configurations and OS installs that I might be demonstrating on stream. So I use it for like my SGI machines. I use it for my HPUX machines. I use it for my Macs and all kinds of things really. So I can see that the drive isn't mounted, but it's also quite possible that we are dealing with a case that we don't have a CD-ROM drive plugged in. So I'm hoping we can at least demonstrate it by it showing up in SCSI probe here. So we got disk 5 quantum, blah blah blah. It's also possible we might be dealing with like termination issues. So this might actually leave me with egg on my face. You never know. Haha. And the thing is with SCSI is it can be a bit kind of funky at times. Command for non-existent ID. I've never seen that message before. They said it's gonna be a thing. So I think SCSI ID 6 is fair game on this. So I'm just hoping if I like update this, this will then pick up that maybe there's something here. There you go. So you can see there right on ID 6 there that another drive has appeared on the SCSI bus. So that's like something I can do. I can literally control stuff through the web browser and have stuff appear and available to this machine. So I want to have like this, if I want to have the CD-ROM be available, then yeah, sure, I can just do it. I can make that available on ID3. I go ahead and update this, and sure enough, it shows up on ID3 on a real Macintosh. If I want to try and mount it, well, it can go ahead and try and mount all of these things. It depends on the drive available, but you know, this is kind of an old version of the Mac OS, so it might be struggling with some of these drives to try and mount them, but they are available to it, and it's picking them up on the actual SCSI bus there. I would love to go into this in more detail, but I am also pressed for time. I have less than 20 minutes to go, so I'm kind of going to have to be blasting through the rest of this this panel here, so I'll be continuing. So that's the demonstration of the Pi SCSI. That's a wonderful piece of community-made hardware that allows us to have hard drives available and defined in software. Really cool stuff. And this actually brings me on to my final demo of the night. We can go hardcore with FPGA. FPGAs are field programmable gate arrays. It's not quite emulation, but it's not the real thing either. FPGAs are the coolest thing that I've really seen in recent years, because it is effectively silicon that can reconfigure itself on the fly to behave like period accurate hardware. And you can change them on the fly. These are actually wild. And the thing is that you can really accurately reproduce original hardware, but then also extend that with extreme performance. And I think it's best demonstrated in the Vampire, which we actually have available on stream here to demonstrate. But it also includes things like the Mister, which is multi-platform FPGA. The ZX Spectrum Next, which was a Kickstarter, was also a thing. And I think 8-Bit Guys Commander X16 are all examples of FPGA systems. So FPGA, yeah, let's go straight to the demo here. We're really flying through things right now, so we're going to go over here and go to press this button here, which takes us away from the original Amiga and takes us hopefully, so we're working, yeah. So here we go. So this is a FPGA Amiga. So when you compare it to the Amiga 600, the Amiga 1200, this is also an Amiga which is a little bit more juiced up, to say the least. It's actually quite ridiculous how much power this thing actually has in it, and what kind of demos it can run. I'm trying to find the right mouse because I have 3 mice on my desk and I'm not sure which one it is. But we can go ahead and run a quick benchmark here to get some comparison, which is the common one is sysinfo here. And this brings us up into an old school Amiga UI here. And we can just do a quick speed test here. And so we've got, you can see there's an A1200 comparison. Let's see how we compare to the A1200. Oh, quite a lot it would seem. We're off the scale. We are, this machine, this FPGA based Amiga is 126 times faster than an A1200 that we have on our other screen. So actually, I don't know if I've actually got sysinfo on the A1200. Actually, this is the wrong thing here. Ah! Come back. Come back, come back, come back. There we go. Can try and bring this up so we can actually get a side-by-side comparison, because that would be kind of cool. Oh, there it is. I have like, I think it's 4 fucking mice for this fucking demo. It's like, oh my god, everywhere. So in here we've got, this is the actual real Amiga, and here we've got programs, and you should have sysinfo right here. Here we go. So we actually can do a side-by-side comparison here. So this is sysinfo running on a real Amiga 1200. We run the speed on here. And it should be, well, my Amiga 1200 is going to be a bit faster than stock. It's actually 6 times faster than the real Amiga 1200 because this actually has an accelerator in it. I love how sysinfo gives a performance metrics funny comments. The early one said, call me if they detected a really fast emulator, right? I like this one. It's like, says, smell the rubber. But yeah, so this has got a, this has a faster 68 EC020 in it than that was in the stock A1200. So there you go. So yeah, it's a little bit faster, and I also like that it can actually identify that we are running with a vampire here, where it literally says "hush, a vampire." Yeah, so sysinfo was actually updated to actually pick up that it was actually running on a vampire. So let's go ahead and I don't think any music's really coming through right now, so make sure it's not coming through, and make sure that voice meter's restarted because it's being shit, which it always is. No, that's not it. That one. There we go. All right, make sure that's working, and let's go ahead and sort of wrap up with some demos here. We've got a bit less than like 15 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and actually see what kind of demos that we can kind of run here on the vampire, and just go ahead and actually find ones that are actually pretty good to check out. Just trying to find one. Oh yeah, revision 2019. I think this is it, or maybe this was it. I don't know. Let's check this one out. Actually, no, maybe it was the other one. No. Okay, maybe I should have just not interrupted that. Well, we'll see what happens. Alright, so yes. So the idea with the... Oh god, that's really loud and squeaky. What the fuck? Where the hell's that screeching coming from? Hang on, guys. Okay. Okay, if you're not hearing anything squeaky, then it's probably just me. Hang on. I'm trying to just see if this will get it back. I don't know why I'm hearing a ton of screeching. There it goes. Yeah, so what we're demonstrating here is some kind of crazy stuff that was part of the demo scene on the Amiga in the 90s to 2000s, and it was the idea of the demo scene was to try and push the hardware as hard as it would go. Literally demonstrate the graphics capabilities of the hardware at the time. It's pretty fucking sick, really. Yeah, a bit of a banger, isn't it? Heck yeah. Jamming in the chat, guys. Yeah. So yeah, all of this stuff you're seeing is actually being generated by instructions to the hardware on this machine. And the thing is, with the Vampire being so powerful, it kind of cuts it through like a hot knife through butter. Has no trouble with it whatsoever. I think that's okay as far as TOS is concerned. I have actually had issues with Amiga demos being a bit raunchy. It's autistic, exactly. It's fine. Yeah, so there we go. That's a demo on the Vampire. I'd love to show you guys more demos, but we are super pressed for time now. So we're going to go ahead and try and wrap stuff up. So yeah, there is an example of FPGA hardware. Like, literally, I'm skimming the surface. I will, I always love to show this stuff on stream. So if this stuff's of interest to you, again, like I said, just drop a follow. This is stuff that I do on a weekly, if not more than weekly basis. Always with this original kit. As much as trouble as it may give, we get there in the end. Even if for some reason Voicemeeter decides to screech down in my ears. I don't know why that was happening. And yeah, so moving on. So as I've been banging on about throughout the stream, community and events are a big deal. So as I've been talking about Mactoberfest here, someone had an incredible overly upgraded Power Mac G4 Graphite here. This was some meetup. This was a Seattle Computer Retro meetup here in Kirkland, which we have every month, which are awesome. So everyone's working on their little projects here. And then this was the Interim Computer Festival, which is part of the SDF public Unix system, which we sort of saw earlier on stream. This is, again, another SGI Indigo 2 that you can kind of cheekily there. And it's a huge part of retro computing is the community. So if you're getting into this stuff, get involved in the community, get involved with the BBSs and everything else in between. Conventions and meetups are held all over the US and the world. Great place to make friends, get ideas for projects, and find additions to collections. So yeah, definitely go check them out. Vintage Computer Federation's a big deal as well. I'll actually have links and everything to that. But yeah, check out vcfed.org. They have all the information on the events. VCF West is actually happening at the start of this month. I'm not sure if I'm actually going to that, but that's the thing that's happening, I think, on the first weekend of August in San Jose at the Computer History Museum. So worth checking out. And local enthusiasts may have your monthly meetups sorted out. And there we go. That sort of brings us towards the end here. So I've got some links and things here. So for those of you who want to check out more into this stuff, into the community and various other content creators, there's a couple of there that I particularly like. You got Action Retro, who kind of upgrades computers to ridiculous levels. Adrian's Digital Basement, who is my favorite YouTuber on all kinds of hardware repairs. Of course, who would be forgetting LGR Lazy Game Reviews, who does some really awesome videos on various old games and weird bits of hardware. We got Mac84, who is probably more into vintage Macintoshes than I, which I'm surprised that's possible. But yeah, he kind of takes it to another level with just the insane collection he has in his basement. And then there's Colin from This Does Not Compute, who also does some really cool computer restoration videos. So definitely go check out all those content creators there. I'm sure they would appreciate you checking them out. And they do some really good, well edited and polished videos. We've also got the forums. We've got the 68K MLA, SVF Public Access Unix system, which they have some events set up. You've got the SGI users group for those people interested in IRIX, and Tinker Different for just various random stuff. There's the basic stuff of software and games, Internet Archive, Macintosh Garden, Winwell PC. Good places to get started. There's tons more, like I say. It's always worth checking those places out. Internet Archive is a wonderful resource. Definitely go drop them a donation and support. They have everything and anything you could possibly want that has been ripped off the internet. I have found drivers that are unobtainium anywhere else, software which has been forgotten off the face of the planet through going through the URL crawls of archived websites. There's an incredible treasure trove on archive.org, and we don't quite actually appreciate it, I think, on a wider basis, but it's just fantastic. And yeah, I think that's it. I mean, we've got a bunch of other links there as well, always worth checking out. But I say that kind of brings us to the end of the panel, folks. Really appreciate you coming out and hanging out with me tonight. I really do appreciate it. You have all been really wonderful tonight. I've really enjoyed having your company. You've all been fantastic, and this has been a super fun panel and stream to run. I hope everyone here has had a wonderful FOMOcon, and that I hope you learned some stuff from this stream. I hope maybe it got you interested in vintage computing. We do have a Discord here which is full of vintage computing resources and people geeking out about it. So absolutely, yes, thank you, Azzy, there for the cheeky little Discord plug there. So definitely go check out the Discord if you want to go learn more about this stuff and check things out. I've got a ton of links and resources to huge treasure troves of software archives and all kinds of stuff out there, and I'm more than happy to help you out with your journey into vintage computing. And like I say, if you enjoyed the panel, please drop me a follow. Really appreciate it. I'm live on Mondays at 5 p.m. Pacific time, 8 a.m. 8 p.m. Eastern. Sorry, I typoed that. And then 1 a.m. UK time every week on Mondays. But I do also go live at sort of random times. But I always publish that on Twitter and Discord and all of that good stuff. And yeah, and also thank you, everyone. Thank you again, Rari, for your art raffle today. And also a big thank you to all the amazing artists that have contributed art to the panel tonight. They're fantastic artists. All of the links there are below. And that will do us for tonight. I think we are more or less at time. I hope everyone here has enjoyed. Thank you so much. The panel did awesome, piqued my interest. Oh, I'm so glad, Eric. I'm really glad. And yeah, no, guys, chat, you've been really awesome. I'm sorry if I've missed any of your messages. I have been trying to keep on tabs on messages and keeping to time and dealing with everything, as well as technical issues. So if I have missed any of your messages tonight, I do apologize, but rest assured, you know, everyone chatting in chat. I really, really appreciate it. And I think that brings us up to the end of tonight. So actually, I think we're at that point, Cursorlight, whether we are gonna be ready to raid to our next streamer for FOMOcon. King Bear the Spirit looks like they're ready. Okay, all right. If they're ready to go, let's go ahead and get that raid queued up. All right. Okay, so Eric, I'm taking that as a green light to go ahead with the raid. All right, let's go ahead. Hopefully I typed that in right. Okay, all right. I think we're good. Did the thing. Wonderful. All right, everyone. I think that will more or less do it tonight. Thank you again for everyone hanging out, contributing in chat here, and just spending time with me tonight. I'm really beyond words of just, you know, everyone engaging tonight. It means a lot to me. This is a passion that's really close to my heart. So again, big thank you from me, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your FOMOcon. Coming up next is King the Bear Spirit, and I hope you enjoy your time over there, guys. Until next time, peace out, and have a wonderful rest of your night. Good night, everyone. Sleep well if you're heading off to bed. I sure as hell am. Night night. Bye bye.